Hello and welcome back to Lorehammer. My name is Eric.
Gary Bukowski.
What was that?
Bukowski.
That's Mark joining us. Also joining us today is
Don't say it, Eric.
Christian.
Don't say it.
I wonder if Christian's okay with being on film. Because
He's not. Yeah, he
I
signed
know
a
when we
waiver.
originally tried to do Lorehammer, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna use an alternate name," and now his face is out there. Yeah,
It's all a ploy to expose him. That's what all this Patreon money went towards.
I'm going to start wearing a ski mask during these recordings.
Are you also gonna just hold a gun? I love 40K. Welcome. Also, Tim.
Thank you for having me back. Yeah.
Thanks for
Thanks for being back.
coming
I'm glad to be back.
on the podcast.
I've almost finished all the Lorehammer episodes.
Really?
Yeah.
it's hardcore.
People actually listen to that?
Yeah. There are a couple of us out there.
Couple of us.
Yeah.
A couple of weirdos.
One or
Couple
two.
weirdos. Yeah.
One or two people.
Mhm.
Speaking of people that not only listen to us, but also seem to enjoy us enough to give us money.
Oh no, I've been threatening people.
Oh, it's that what it is.
Yeah,
It works either way. We have a list of a bunch of new patrons that we want to share. So without further ado, thank you to all these people. JJ Chan, BBC for Eric, Isaac, I'm assuming it's Isaac, Dance with Space Wolves, Mike, Northern Liberty, that's right, Dave, Zachary, Bryce, Tanner, the Great Lord Lama, Garrett, Mysterious Spenny Factor, Sam, Johan, Vinny, Adam, Young Beatus, Jim, Tyler, XX Cool, Primaris Marine 37XX,
Yeah.
X-Force, Space Force, Will, Scott, Nathan, Aiden, John, Ben, Auntie, Billy, Connor, Isaac, Eximus Reaper, Kelvin, Keller, Sebisitsi. Yeah.
Guttural rear
that's what I'm missing.
throat sound.
David, Josh, Adam, Sky, and Michael.
that's people.
Thank you so much,
Awesome.
guys, for
Yeah.
contributing to Lorehammer.
Yeah. We're really making some progress here now that we're actually trying to push that on people. It's been good. Donate. Give
Now
us
that
some
we're
money.
unhealthily pushing it on people.
Yeah.
It's bad for our health, is what it is. Because when we get turned down, it's
crushing every time.
soul crushing.
It's crushing when they're like, I can't afford it, and I think, oh wow, your life is so bad. You're so broke, you can't afford $1 a month.
Don't say this because people are gonna be like, "And yours, Mark?
Hey,
How's yours?"
I'm just saying, I'm in a garage with 4 dudes. Life couldn't be better.
If you just called it the Imperial Tithe,
Then it's mandatory.
It's
Then we can
mandatory.
kick
They
in their
can't-
doors and
Interesting.
they can't say anything.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah.
You know
Just
what?
Change
Calling
the
it-
phrasing of
if
it.
not, we'll exterminate as your family.
The Lorehammer Tithe,
That's not a terrible.
This must be an all-time record. 40
Yeah, this
people?
is the
That's
biggest
awesome.
one.
Nice.
Yeah, we've been getting close to letters like T and U, but this one's been a lot.
Doesn't mean anything to anyone.
Means something to
It's
me.
actually numbers on mine. So your guys'
Is it
alphabet?
really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Anyways,
Okay.
thank you for joining us in this journey called Podcastum, and hopefully, at some point, everyone joins us.
It's one super episode.
Yeah. This episode is entirely made for listing names of patrons.
Yeah, we keep tossing out the idea of what we're gonna do for a Patreon membership. We want to do something. We're not totally decided yet, but we're in the thought process of it.
Soon, TM.
Yeah.
You'll know you made it when one of your people has tattooed,
Warhammer.
either a baby photo of you
Yeah.
on their body
Yeah.
or the Lorehammer logo. And then you'll know you've made it.
Well, pull the pants down and get that ass cheek out, Tim, and let's get perfect.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do for our first video release. Timothy gets Lorehammer tattooed on his ass.
Bent over the table right there. Each cheek simultaneously.
Lore and hammer.
In the middle is the skull.
Okay.
I cannot look at that symbol the same way again.
Because you can see.
right where it would be.
Oh God, it's the 8-pointed star.
It's the Eye of Terror.
It is the Eye of Terror.
Oh God.
All right.
It's only one gate into the Eye of Terror. Yeah.
Oh God.
It's a
Well,
one-way portal.
welcome to episode
It's very
64.
appropriate for this episode, I should say.
Welcome to episode 64, Abaddon's Black Crusade. Crusades.
Yeah, we're gonna
The
be
Black
covering a bunch.
Crusades of Abaddon. The Despoilers Crusades of Blackness. These are my crusades, as you can see. They are Black Crusades. They
Ooh,
are
how much for that
crusades
one? Ooh, that's
that
a
are
nice
black.
crusade.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyways, but we have one thing we want to chat about.
We sold out our dice real quick. We sold out all our dice in one day. It's
crazy.
So
Yeah.
we're like, that was pretty easy way to make money. So we
Yep.
want to try to make more money. So our next project that we're going to try to do, it's called the Liber Malleus Project. And we're going to do a bonus episode talking a lot more about it, but I'll give you a little bit right now. Basically, what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to build an entire company of Space Marines from the Liber Malleus chapter in High Gothic or Lorehammer in Low Gothic. So basically, the way this is going to work is we're going to open up a squad at a time and then sell positions in that squad to you guys for money.
It's exciting.
So you pay, and then what will end up happening is you can send in a short story for your guy.
Oh.
I'm going to paint a miniature, and then we have like name plaques, so we'll put your name on the miniature's base,
Yeah.
and then we're just going to try to build up a chapter.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, it's going to be sweet. So
Are you going to
prices.
send are they going on a crusade? That's the question.
Yes, they are. Yeah, when
Always
we collect the
crusading.
entire
Yeah.
company, I'm going to toss in a garbage bag and just fling it into the back alley. And
See how much distance you can get.
Yeah, let's see where the crusade takes it. But yeah, we're gonna try to do this. I think it could be cool as us as a community to try to like build this company together. You know, each character has like an actual backstory behind it that you guys came up with. And it's like, yeah, if you want to be like a rhino driver, you can buy a rhino. I'll paint it and put it on the shelf. But yeah, so it'll be a cool little project. Prices are gonna vary. Like I'm trying to do it cost effective, but at the same time, like this is also a way for you guys to help support us. So if the prices seem a little high, just think of it that way. Like
It's more of a donation.
exactly. Like we are trying to do something cool, but at the same time, I don't want to just paint miniatures for $1 an hour. But just for like a rough range, like if you want to become a basic tactical marine, it'll be like $35. I think is what I've settled on.
Will be more expensive the higher the rank.
Yeah. And then the other cool
If you wanna
things
be
is
the
like,
chapter master, like
well, that's taken by me and Eric. I'm the chapter master. It's my master of sanctity.
okay.
But yeah, like we're gonna do like a bidding war. Like if you want to be the captain of the first company, like we might do a bidding war for that and see what. That kinda-
There's only one captain of the first company.
Yeah. So
It'll be a special model.
yeah.
It'll just look better than all your standard tax stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is going to come forward in our next bonus episode. We are
Yeah.
going to sit down. We'll even share with you the story.
Yeah,
of
we
the
came up
Liber
with some
Malleus.
delightful lore for it. It's pretty good.
It's quite enjoyable, actually.
Nice.
So yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
our next fundraising project. So if you're interested, when you hear this, send us a message on Facebook, Instagram, or email us. And
Hold on for the next episode, for the next bonus episode. Make sure
yeah.
you're going to download that.
Yeah. So they probably won't be up until, like, we probably won't actually start selling these until it'd be the 19th.
The 19th, probably.
The 19th
Yeah.
of February. So yeah, start saving your money now. But,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's-
it should
that's
be pretty
fair.
cost effective, and it'll be super sweet. Like, just imagine when we start filming, we put the company in the back behind. Like, it'll be cool. It'll be cool.
Yeah.
It
And
would
to
be
see it
cool.
slowly fill out.
Yeah.
Everyone,
one by one.
every Marine has a story. Every Marine
Yeah.
is a named character.
Nice.
So that's my plan. So yeah, that's all I had to say.
Cool.
I like it.
Well, in that case, let's dive right into Abaddon's Black Crusades.
What are the Black Crusades?
Funny enough, I actually have a story.
Mm-hmm.
about. So when I was like a young boy, my dad actually took me to the city to see the Black Crusades. And I remember he told me, he said, "Son, when you grow up, would you be the savior of the broken, the beaten and the damned?" And he's pointing to all the people, watching this Black Crusade. And he said,
Billions, yeah.
Yeah. And then he looks at this crusade, this Black Crusade, and he's like, "Are you going to defeat them? These demons, all the non-believers, like the people that just refuse to believe in the Emperor, right?" He's like, "Are you going to, the plans that they've made, are you going to get rid of them?" And then he's like, "One day I'm going to leave you a phantom, right, to lead you in the summer to join the Black Crusade." So it was,
Okay.
it was a little crazy.
As the Inquisitor representative, I'm gonna have to stop you right there
Yeah, that's right.
about the joining the Black Crusade.
No, I'm not joining. I'm stopping the Black Crusade.
Okay.
Are you though?
Love to see.
Well, when I was a young boy,
young warthog.
Don't start again.
my father took me to the city. The Black Crusades. Okay. The Black Crusades are large military operations of the Long War. They are specifically, these ones today are specifically commanded by Abaddon the Despoiler, the champion of the Pantheon.
Does he have any other titles? He probably does.
I think he's
World
got a
Eater.
couple others.
Abby, I've heard people call him Abby.
Yeah.
Good old Abby.
The Dawn.
The Dawn.
You come to me on the day I'm leaving the Eye of Terror,
Oh, gee.
and you ask for a Nurgle plague. Yeah.
That is what he sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are other Black Crusades, but we're just going to be talking about Abaddons. So following their defeat, the traitors, at the end of the Horus Heresy, their bitterness only grew while being forced back to the Eye of Terror. The long war to crush the Imperium had begun. Many Chaos followers had attempted their own campaigns against the Imperium, but the Black Crusades are without a doubt the most well-known and have the largest impact.
Yeah, so Black Crusades are so large and ambitious that factions other than Chaos Space Marines will join themselves to it, even. So they can include a Traitor Titan Legions, Renegade Guard, Chaos Knight Houses, the Lost and the Damned, which are just a rabble of humans that give themselves to chaos.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Some grow up in the Eye of Terror too. There's like demon worlds with human populations.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just,
Yeah.
it's not this, all this is, it's not just Space Marines that are committing themselves to this crusade.
Yeah.
Right? So even Dark Mechanicum and Chaos Demons, like legions of demons, will attach themselves to these Black Crusades.
Yeah. The Black Crusades are one of the few times that the Chaos Pantheon takes their attention away from the great game temporarily to focus on their arch enemy, the Imperium. Like typically the Chaos Gods don't really care what's happening in the mortal realms. Like, sure, you sacrifice 1,000 goats to them, and sure,
They'll make an appearance at your party.
Yeah, exactly. But really, they don't really care.
Yeah,
They're not taking
because
a day-to-day interest in it.
It's not even them that's appearing in the Imperium.
Yeah.
It's just their servants.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Khorne knows he's never, ever going to make it to the material realm.
Yeah.
Right? He's more concerned about his power within the Immaterium at war with the other Chaos Gods.
Are they like a united front when they go on a Black Crusade? Because a few of them just don't like each other.
If you're in a Black Crusade, that is a united front.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure at some point they do break down into squabbles
Oh.
it always, but I'm sure at the beginning it does start as like a unified thing. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But,
you'll see there's two main examples that I can think of even off the top of my head in these Black Crusades that don't necessarily follow a united front.
Yeah.
But we'll get to those. Like, we'll cross the bridge
Yeah.
when we get to it.
It's also just like directing a mass, right? Like, this is your target. Go deal with it in whatever way, right? So then you grab your warband, you grab your warband, you grab your warband, and you all go together. You might not even like the other warbands, but you're all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay.
The leader of the Black Crusades.
Mr. Despoiler himself.
Starting out as a Luna Wolf from the planet of Cathonia, Abaddon would eventually become first captain of the Luna Wolves, Sons of Horus, to Horus. Oh, jeez.
thrice damned.
Spitting.
As part of his inner circle on the Mournival. He had earned his place by being renowned galaxy-wide as one of the most deadly Astartes in the Great Crusade. he was like a hulking guy. Like he was almost even Primarch size.
Yeah, he
like,
was too big. It was joked that he was too big for his Justarian
Terminator
armor.
armor.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy that he
Yeah.
just.
He was so big, like people even started rumors that he's like a clone of Horus himself. Like he's just this big, imposing figure, and then on top of that, he's just
Good at killing.
good at killing, amazing
Here I go killing
tactician.
again.
Here
Oh
I go.
boy!
Yeah, but also yes, a great tactician and leader,
Yeah.
and like planner of war. Like,
Yeah, and like really well respected too. Like, not just
not a pushover. This
like
this man
they're-
already was very.
But he's
well
not a
respected.
one-trick pony either.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
what
Like
I'm trying to
there's
say.
some like Sigismund, like amazing sword fighter. Like, but is he a tactician? I don't know. Maybe he kind of is a tactician.
But he's
You know?
not. He's not like up at the top of tacticians.
No, he's
right?
not known
Like,
for that. Where
but
Abaddon,
Abaddon
is definitely
is.
everything.
Yeah.
Like,
And it should also be noted that like this is at a time when Space Marine legions, like he's the best of a lot of the best, right? Like not just
Yeah.
the top of a chapter, not just the top of 1,000 Marines, but like hundreds of thousands of Marines, and on top of that, one of the best legions.
Yeah.
at least with the most
Yeah, the Sons of
victories.
Horus.
Yeah, so like
Yeah. They were one of the
Over
most
a million
successful in
Marines,
Crusade.
yeah.
they were the most. Yeah.
Yeah.
so this guy is definitely deadly counter to what the
In like
fans might say.
the book I was reading, because I'm such a learned man. I was reading up for this episode.
7 steps to chaos.
Yeah, like I always pictured him as if you think of like the biggest guy on top, you think if he's just got to be so not human, not even close. You know what I mean? Like he's got to be close to like a greater demon level, or even I don't know. But he was like incredibly civilized, which was really fascinating. Like the book is like right before, I believe it was the First Crusade, when they're like he's still in solitude, and then
Yeah.
there's like a small band of like chaos lords who like he ends up calling them to him, and he's like literally just like chilling on his ship. He's
Yeah.
like he spent his whole time, you'll probably get to it, but just like collecting trinkets from across the Eye of Terror.
Yeah.
He spent a lot of time trying to like recreate the fifth element, and he just got bored of it, so he turned it into like this insane like beverage. Like just out of like warp stuff, right? And
Are you being serious right now? I can't.
I'm
tell.
serious, for real. Yeah, I'm not even joking. Like he's an incredibly smart man, and he's very like honorable too. That was another very interesting thing. Like he's actually holds a lot of like the code, the Space Marine code.
yeah.
He still holds it up to value, which is like crazy.
especially for like the arc trader.
Yeah, the biggest baddest guy.
Yeah, he never ever turns into like a foaming berserker on the same level like Karn or like someone
No,
else.
he
like-
views those people as lessers.
Yeah, exactly.
He even viewed Horus as lesser because Horus allowed himself to become just a puppet for power.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where like Horus is being bloated by chaos power, and Abaddon would rather have boons and gifts, but he's not allowing anyone to change him who he is. And he feels like he's keeping pure that way or whatever. I mean, it's
It's safe
he's
to
still a
say-
servant of chaos in the end, but
Yeah.
he
Safe-
believes he's better.
Yeah.
Safe to say that we can all learn something from Abaddon.
What are you learning
Something
from Abaddon?
valuable. How to not lead a Black Crusade.
Well, you know, I don't know. So another thing about him is he was privy to the War Master, to the War Master Horus's inner dealings, witnessed his corruption firsthand, and willingly followed his father Horus in his rebellion of the Emperor.
Yeah. There wasn't much convincing with him.
Nope. Yeah, he was fully loyal to Horus.
Yeah, especially in the beginning too, where like the big fear of the one of the main reasons why a lot of Marines fell to chaos was not because they wanted to become foaming berserkers. It was because they're afraid of what was going to happen to them when the Great Crusade ended.
They had
Yeah,
legitimate
there was
grievances.
no place for them
Yeah.
in an Imperium without
and it's
war.
like, we built this, and then you're just going to cast this aside.
and you give it to lesser men.
Yeah.
Right. Like.
yeah,
So they
So-
they did have some legitimate concerns that were understandable.
Yep. And the Emperor had a history of destroying his tools when he was done with them.
yeah.
So,
Petulant child.
yeah.
So after the Siege of Terra and Horus's defeat, Abaddon wandered the Eye of Terror alone, betrayal by the failure of his father, following behind him. Eventually, he would renew his pledge to end the Imperium, purge the Sons of Horus of the self-serving elements, and rebrand them as the Black Legion, cleansing them of their attachment to Horus. Yeah, so that's what Talent of Horus is, that book you're reading,
Yeah,
He's traveling around, like, collecting stuff,
Gets rid of, like, kills anyone
Yeah.
who still views the loyalty to Horus as opposed to the Legion itself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like when the Emperor's children like steal Horus's, it was like the
Body.
monument,
Yeah.
and then this war bands of Chaos Pantheon, they like go running to Horus and they're like, "Yo, there's something terrible happened. They stole his body." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I knew that. Yeah." Like he was like completely chill about it, you know, like. And ultimately, like you were saying, like he believed Horus was a complete failure too.
Yeah.
Like, saw no. It's funny we kind of idolize Horus as being like, oh, the guy who like stood up to the Emperor and whatever. But a lot of the Chaos Space Marines, they just like hate his guts. You know? Like, he completely failed. And
It's like if he had succeeded, it
They'll
would
be
have been
singing his
so
praise.
different. But
Yeah.
little do they know it's impossible to succeed.
Yeah. So he would have purged people. Oh, interesting.
period. It's impossible. You'll eventually fail.
That's right.
Yeah. So once he had complete control over his new legion, the Black Legion, he began the Long War.
And this long war will never end until the Imperium is gone.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the Long War encompasses many battles. Like, it's not just the Black Crusades. It's any raiding party is technically on the Long War. Like, anyone doing anything chaotic against the Imperium is on the Long War.
So right now it's still the long war.
Yeah.
Yep, this is the same war being fought.
Yeah,
They're just all different skirmishes and battles.
Yeah.
They view it as the same conflict that started all the way back then up until now.
And they have it broken down into different elements of that conflict. But yeah, it's still, the
Same.
rebellion against the Imperium.
Yeah.
So the first Black Crusade, the first Battle of Cadia.
Yes. So while the Legion Wars were won by Abaddon, and this is him cleaning up the Eye of Terror and solidifying his hold, there were still some that threatened his position for War Master of Chaos. And in 781 M31, Abaddon and Daravek entered into a race to claim the demon sword Drachnian and therefore become the War Master.
Yeah.
So both of these guys were plagued with visions and dreams of this sword.
Yeah.
And eventually
It's a
Abaddon...
good old presidential race.
yeah.
First one.
Very civil.
Yeah.
Eventually Abaddon...
No one's ripping up papers. It's very civil.
It's very civil. We got
You're just
lost
going.
and damned in lines.
Yeah.
Voting on
So here's the
damn
lines.
ballots
First gentleman to reach the Drachnia sword will become the leader of the Black Legion.
Yeah.
Is Davarak also from the Black Legion too?
No.
Do we know anything about him?
He is not from the Black Legion. He just had his own war band.
He was originally from the Black Legion, I'm pretty sure. Oh, we're doing a typo search. Or
Are you
Who's
sure?
that first?
yeah.
Thegus.
Prominent Death Guard Sorcerer Lord.
Okay.
Sorcerer.
Death Guard.
Death Guard. Not Black Legion. Anyways.
Well, whoever he is, we can all agree that
he lost.
Dorn
Hard
is
to
still
say.
dead. We can all agree about that.
Yeah, hard to say. Who knows? Maybe he's not. Anyways, so both of them have this vision of the sword in their dreams, and eventually Abaddon's like, well, I guess we'll go for the sword. So
Claiming a
he
sword is no
does.
system of government.
But-
Is that Monty Python?
yeah.
Did the sword? Maybe the sword like revealed itself to two champions, and he was like, the more worthy one will.
Yeah, that's
You know
like
what I mean?
I have no idea why the sword would have done that to both of them.
But could make sense. Yeah, like the sword is like this great demon possessed sword.
'Cause it has a spirit.
It has a
and
consciousness.
everything.
Yeah, and it has been trapped on this one planet, which we'll talk about later. So it's like, yeah, he wants to be freed.
Why wouldn't he do it to a bunch of?
'Cause you don't want a
increase
bunch-
your chances of actually being able to leave.
Because he only wants the worthy to hold it.
Maybe they were both like the most.
I don't know
the most
either.
Powerful and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or maybe a bunch did, and we just don't hear about them because
they
yeah,
failed.
no, yeah, because they weren't. They just couldn't compare with the other two.
Phil on the planet of Cadia. It's not. He's being plagued by these dreams, but he's not.
Can't do anything
He
about
can't
it.
do
yeah.
anything about it. Phil, I've chosen you. I'm Drachnia.
Where does Arthas come into this?
Who?
Arthas. He's talking about Frostmourne. Anyways, so Drachnian is located on the planet Euralon, outside of the Eye of Terror, and it forced the Chaos Warbands out of the Eye and into real space after many centuries. Mm-hmm. And the only reason they knew it had been many centuries, because they had been in the Eye this whole time.
Yeah.
And so
700 years.
700 years after the Horus Heresy, and the only reason they knew it had been centuries is because they had encountered a strike cruiser of the Black Templar who had gone into the Eye of Terror, and they found, oh my god, like it's 781. My god.
The Imperium, they also thought that like the Eye of Terror would wipe out their traitors. And it was like a huge surprise that they were.
It was very surprising that they were still in there.
Like,
because from the outside, they're like, it's like watching ships go into a storm. You're like, oh, they're dead.
They're doomed. Yeah.
No one would ever willingly go into that thing because it just means death. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and this ties back to because centuries earlier, after the Horus Heresy, High Marshal Sigismund of the Black Templar had sworn to find the traitor Abaddon and kill him in combat. So he specifically was going after champions of chaos after the Horus Heresy to finish what his father had commanded him to do during the heresy.
Yeah.
Which was to seek out the champions of chaos and slay them in combat.
Yeah.
So he's like, I have to do this. And so his hunt for Abaddon eventually leads him to the Eye of Terror, and he assembles his forces at the Cadian Gate. And unwilling to wait for the Black Legion to enter real space, he sends in multiple Black Templar strike cruisers to scout what was on their side and to find Abaddon. And it's one of those strike cruisers that Abaddon finds, and that lets him know it's been over 700 years.
Yeah. So the Black Legion, led by Abaddon, wants to go find the sword. So the Black Legion then exit the Eye of Terror, spilling themselves into Cadia real space, and fighting through a massive Black Templar who were waiting for them.
Yeah.
The climax of this battle was when Abaddon boarded the Eternal Crusader, that's like the Black Templar's flagship.
Yeah, that's where Sigismund would have been.
Yeah, and attempted to reason with Sigismund, hoping to turn his once brother to his side. Sigismund refused, calling Abaddon and his forces oath-breakers, and the two legends drew swords and fought. Yeah, because these two would have
known each other.
Yeah.
They crusaded together.
And they were both like prominent members of their respective legions. Right?
Oh, yes. So, like if Sigismund is the best fighter of the Imperial Fists.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Abaddon
would have been like one of the best fighters of the Sons of Horus. Like these names would have been said in the same sentences,
and they would have even had conversations and things. Like
absolutely,
planning strategies, or
How do you think that conversation went? Hey,
remember
one time we?
It's like you get that Facebook message from high school.
Hey, do you want to come see a quick
you want to join
presentation? You want to join my multi-level marketing scheme?
If you start a legion
called the Long War,
and you become the first member of the legion, then every legionnaire under you
will have to pay you to be in the legion.
It's perfect.
That's a real thing, though.
So the battle concludes with
Sigismund. Space Marine chapter idea. Multi-level.
The MLMs.
That should be the Lorehammer ones. That's how they should be making money. I gotta rewrite.
Wait, what is this podcast about
again? So the battle concludes with Sigismund dead and Abaddon heavily wounded with a black sword through his chest.
Yes.
He falls back, retreats back to the vengeful spirit, and allows members of his Kaon to take over.
So his Ezekarion is his version of the Mournival.
Yeah.
It's just like
three
close advisors to him.
And the Vengeful Spirit was Horus's flagship.
It was, and then Abaddon takes it over as his own. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Kaon, one of the Ezekarion, he goads Derevek into boarding the Vengeful Spirit, and then just kills him.
So the race for the sword turned nasty.
That's right. Yeah. Who would have known? These people end things with violence.
I, Derevek, of sound mind and body, did not commit suicide.
Yeah. So this ended the unification of Derevek's warband.
Yeah.
And the Black Templar used the distraction of the battle between the forces of chaos to escape.
Yeah.
Because remember, Chaos is not a united force, and especially these two warbands were specifically at odds with each other.
Yeah.
So the Black Templar do end up falling back, but Sigismund is dead, which is a big deal to them.
Yeah.
So now with Abaddon free from the Eye of Terror and his power solidified because Derevik is dead, they are free to journey to Eurolon and the Tower of Silence.
Where Drechnia is being held.
Yes.
So after 10 years and many worlds burned, they arrived at Eurlian. How'd you say that?
Eurolon.
Eurolon, sure. Abaddon would enter the Tower of Silence alone and attempt to master the labyrinth within. After slaying the tower's guards of dark energy, he entered and was guided by a figure of golden light to where Drachnia was resting. He would claim the sword and the title of War Master of Chaos.
Yes.
Do we know who imprisoned the sword and why?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Topic for another episode.
Probably.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Because then you have to go into like who Drachnia is. Like we'll do a whole Abaddon. With Drachnia. Yeah. There's a lot to it.
There's Custodes, there's the Emperor, there's the War in the Webway.
There's who the Demon of Drachnia is.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, relax.
Phil
There's
again.
so much
Phil
for
is
the
question.
Phil on Cadia. Trying to get this goddamn sword dream out of his brain.
So so Abaddon finally, at this point, declared his Black Crusade over, went back to the Eye of Terror, and his final act was to send a stolen Black Templar Voidcraft back to Terra, containing information about how the First Crusade went for the Imperium. It went poorly.
Yeah, well, it's like proving like, hey, come fight me. Like,
yeah.
I destroyed you.
It also carried the dead body of Sigismund, and on his hollowed black sword, there were 3 words burned in hellfire upon the blade.
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
We are returned.
Which
is
didn't want to get
awesome.
sued for copyright.
Which is so awesome.
Back I will be.
It's like this whole thing is Abaddon rekindling the fire of his passion.
Yeah. And it's like Tim said earlier, like they went into there and no one really believed that they were still in there, like
they
were lurking and hiding.
Sigismund tracked Abaddon to the Eye of Terror, and then he goes back to the High Lords of Terra and he says, look, they're here, they're in there, they're waiting for us.
Yeah.
And they refuse to believe him. They're like, no, it's impossible, you can't do that. And Sigismund's like, fuck you guys, we're going in.
Yeah. And then just imagine too, like it's always crazy with numbers, like pretty much 800 years of like since they were last seen, kind of thing, since the Horus Heresy.
That's enough to fade into legend.
Yeah, honestly.
Like things that happened 800 years ago, like
Probably a lot
is
of
very difficult for us to conceptualize.
Some wouldn't even believe that it even happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
It would be
They're
the
like,
boogeyman story
boogeyman.
you tell your children.
And it only gets crazier as time progresses.
Yeah.
And it's the same man doing it. People would be like, no, there's no way it's the same Abaddon.
Yeah.
It's got to be a different one. It's impossible.
Or like a title or...
Yeah, exactly. Like someone else has killed him and claimed the title of Abaddon the War Master.
Or Santa Claus doesn't exist, you know?
Santa Claus.
Abaddon doesn't exist.
But anyways, the end of this crusade is really where Abaddon steps into role as War Master of Chaos.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be interesting to know how many years it was for him. So
Sure. How many years did it feel like it was in the Eye of Terror?
Yeah. Because that's the one thing when we're going through all this is
Just
we
weird
don't know
time
how we don't know
dilations.
how long it is in the warp. So the difference between the first and second Black Crusade is 806 years. But for Abaddon, it literally could have only been just enough time for him to go back, like gather forces,
solidify a little more power.
Yeah, 5 years, and he goes back out.
It also could have been 800 years.
It also could have even
Or
been
longer.
1,000.
Yeah, we have no idea what he did and what it took for him to prepare these other crusades. What research did he go into? What places in the warp did he visit? Right? What dark pacts did he try and enact? And it's nice. I like this.
Apparently
I like that we don't know.
Apparently, like he visited, like everywhere, every world in the Eye of Terror before he started his first crusade.
So during the
Which is insane.
the Legion
'cause, like,
Wars.
it's huge, right?
It's a lot of worlds.
So he
Yeah.
kind of did his thing and float, but it's crazy, like
Yeah.
the passage of time, but also the passage of time. You know, like in the war.
Like, was he
you
able to
could do that,
step from
maybe,
one
yeah.
planet to the next?
Who
Maybe,
knows?
like who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
Like, was he being aided by chaos in those moments or hindered? Right? Like, what did it take?
He took the all-inclusive cruise.
That's right.
Eye of Terror.
It's a one-way ticket.
7-day cruise.
44 stops.
Yeah.
But you might arrive at your destination 800 years into the future.
A few extra limbs or eyes or, plagues. This next.
So the second.
That sounds.
This one's interesting.
Do you want to
Yeah.
pick the reins for this one, Tim? The second Black Crusade, the cursing of Corona,
The cursing of Corona. Yeah.
the coronavirus.
We're not making this up. No.
Nope.
Might have involved bats.
Maybe a pangolin or two.
Maybe.
A pangolin?
Bat soup. I don't know.
The Night Lords might be involved. With the
Yes,
bat
that
wings.
would be.
They're the
appropriate.
source of.
Starting in 597 M32, 806 years after the first Black Crusade, the second would play very differently. Now warning of the danger that Abaddon presented, the Imperium had heavily fortified the Cadian Gate, as well as the surrounding moons and other planets in nearby systems, in order to create a wall that the forces of chaos would break themselves against.
So the Cadian Gate, for anyone who might not know, is the most stable route in and out of the Eye of Terror.
Yeah.
It's just a portal. It's an area of space that is really safe for you to enter the warp in. It's not an actual physical gate, but it does exist in the same spot always within space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they not fortify it before? Like,
No,
they never thought something crazy would come out of the
it just nothing came out. I guess nothing came out crazy enough that they felt was a threat to because the Black Crusades are a threat to the Imperium.
Right.
You got to be a pretty big threat to threaten the entire Imperium.
Yeah. And even in the past, like, Cadia, the planet, was almost a chaos world. Like, the humans of it were chaos worshipping, like,
really?
barbarians. Yeah.
Okay.
So just because of their proximity to it, right?
Right.
So that corruption affected the local population.
Huh.
And I don't know how long ago that was, but at the very least, they were contacted during the Great Crusade.
Yeah.
For the first time, right?
Okay.
So it's a fairly recently established world as an imperial world.
Okay.
It would have been established as a bastion, right? Like purely as a fortification against
Yeah.
it.
But
they just
likely, like, who knows what happened to the locals, if they were assimilated, if they were exterminated, or what.
thrown back into the
Into the war.
into the Eye of Terror.
It also is important to note because of the Eye of Terror, with space, right? Like, it's a 3-dimensional field, right? So theoretically,
No, it's not. If you do a blockade of just one ring of ships, you can blockade a whole planet.
oh, really?
That's how
Yeah.
that's how
I've
the
seen it
Trade
on,
Federation did it.
Yeah, exactly.
They know a thing or two about trade blockades. Let me tell you.
You may think that space is 3-dimensional, but let me tell you,
all
it's
space
actually
conflict
not.
is like naval ships engaging on a flat
like-
plane.
Yes.
It's like Space Invaders.
Yes.
Yeah, it's flat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but the significance of the gate, right? Like, in theory, because of the instability, it doesn't make it possible to just come shooting out at any direction. Or if it is, it's harder to do. Your fleet might not stay intact or all together.
It's probably
Yeah.
a pretty big part of space too.
Oh,
Considering
hundreds
the
of
size of
kilometers.
space, like it would.
Hundreds of thousands of kilometers.
Yeah, like, it's
yeah,
visible
it
on the
must be
galactic
massive.
scale.
We're talking about the gate.
Oh, the gate itself.
gate,
Oh,
not
yeah,
the
yeah.
eye.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, gates are absolutely huge. Just the scale of everything in space is so astronomical.
Wow, you
You like that?
flowed into that.
Yeah.
So, this crusade had two main objectives for Abaddon's forces. The first was to plant a curse on the moon of the planet of Bellis Corona, and a planet that served as a massive shipyard for munitions and stockpiles of weapons. The curse would awaken centuries later to unleash a mutagenic plague.
I really wish this tied into the Crusades later, but
Yeah.
it doesn't. So it just is
Just means it's still about to happen.
right. Yeah, maybe it just hasn't been written into one of the Black Crusades yet.
Yeah.
But
His second objective was to topple a series of hexagrammic eldritch needles, somehow controlling the flow of the warp.
yeah, and the force that Abaddon brought was larger than the previous crusade, and the fighting even reached the planet ground itself. So this one actually went to Cadia's
Soil.
yeah.
Yeah.
With many ground fortresses on Cadia being assaulted. And once the Cadian force had halted the Black Legion in its tracks, Chaos forces then began to spill out in all directions. So, they push. All of a sudden, they hit the wall, and they're like, all right, guess we're going somewhere else. And they just scatter, right? It's actually a very common tactic for them to push as hard as they can. And then as soon as they're like stopped, they immediately abandon that tactic and they scatter out and do all their other different things that they're doing. Yeah. You see it multiple times during these crusades.
Yeah. Yeah. So this crusade lasted 5 years, ending in 602 M32. And while Abaddon was pushed back to the Eye of Terror, his objectives had been achieved.
Yeah. He planted the curse and he destroyed the Eldritch Needles.
Yeah.
And that was exactly what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
What were the Eldritch Needles?
They were just Eldritch Needles.
You know, just simple.
Just some artifact or relic. Some artifact or relic.
Someone's sewing box, just like a little ball of needles, and it was.
I imagine just like these like weird, like how Stonehenge to us is like weird things. It's just these weird things that have existed forever, and no one knows what they do.
Is controlling the flow of the warp.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't know this whole time.
I'm just waiting to get emails like, these dumb idiots don't even know what they are. Me and Eric know what they are. We're intentionally keeping this a secret. We know what they are.
Nope.
Don't you email
They're just hexagrammic.
They're just hexagrammic Eldritch
Needles.
Yet to be. We don't know what they are yet.
No. Yeah. And we don't want to know.
Don't email me.
Yeah. Don't at me.
Don't at me. So the third Black Crusade, the host of Telemann.
The desecration of Gerstal. I love this one. So 307 years after the second one, in 909 M32, Abaddon would reappear at the Eye of Terror with the Demon Prince of unimaginable power. So the Demon Prince Talaman, the Prince of Princes, was utterly convinced that by Abaddon that the blood of Space Marines would invigorate him and give him even more untold power while he's trying to play the great game. Because he's also trying to play the great game in the warp, and he's like, I need more power to do this. Abaddon's like, hey, yo, you want some
awesome
power? He's like,
yeah. Take this warp dust.
You ever heard of this Astartes blood? It's good shit, yo. And then, of course, Abaddon has to snort a line with him to prove that the product is good.
Of course.
Yeah.
You guys should start marketing that stuff. There's your fundraiser.
Fight milk.
Power of the Crow. Come on.
Exactly. With Cadia as the target of their crusade.
Poor Cadia.
So this is 2 for 2 so far for Cadia. 2 crusades, 2 targets. The threat drew dozens of Space Marine chapters to the system. And the demon host of Talaman, so he summoned his own demon army that, followed him everywhere in the warp as well. Yeah. They slew millions of Imperial Guard before the Space Wolves finally repulsed them back to the Abyss.
I like the sentence of dozens of chapters show up. Until the Space Wolves specifically.
Yeah. Well, I assume that he killed a lot of them. And the Space Wolves would have been the biggest one. It's the biggest chapter.
It's not really super big though.
Aren't the Black Templar the biggest?
No, that showed up. I think you're saying, but like Space Wolves, they don't have that many more than a standard chapter.
And but you're also talking about how big these battlefields are. They wouldn't all.
Mass of the numbers.
That also doesn't let them put their helmets on.
You can put your helmet on, but it'll all be like
sprayed out the bottom
out of your neck.
Perfect for vacuum sealing.
Yeah,
But yeah, they're not necessarily all fighting on the same battlefield per se either, right? So it just happened the wolves were in that area at that time. Right?
Yeah. There's no way that they only had assaulted Cadia planet.
They took the glory though. The Space Wolves.
As
all the other chapters like, come on, man.
Space Wolves are like, were you even there? Come on.
We were there.
And so the Imperium declared victory for the defense of Cadia. And her peoples rejoiced. The Second Black Crusade rebuffed, destroyed, an end to the reign of terror.
A great win for the Imperium.
Absolutely. Great job, brother. Handshake for all of us, High Lords of Terra.
Promotions all around.
Good job. Yes, right. Yeah, good job.
Phil get a medal?
But little did the Imperium know.
Phil did not get a medal.
Oh, no.
Abaddon had already achieved his objective.
What was his
Yes. He had heard of the prophecy of Saint Gerstal, who fell defending the Cadian Gate in a previous Black Crusade hundreds of years before. And it was said that...
Wait, before the first?
No, during the First Crusade, we presume that Saint Gerstal had, a living saint, had fallen and died. And there was a prophecy that it was said that he would reawaken when, quote, the eye of darkness opened for the last time, end quote. So we assume that that means the Cicatrix Maledictum. Like, that's what that would have been referring to, right? Because that's the eye of terror, so the eye of darkness opening for the last time, you know? Cause
so it's not Tim's tattooed ass.
No, it's not.
Taking his last shit.
Thank God.
It opened for the last.
So, just clarifying.
Yeah.
Just clarifying.
So Abaddon hears of this prophecy, and he's like, nope, can't let that happen.
Yeah.
So he assaults the shrine world that is named after this saint. So this saint was so good, he had an entire world named after him.
Dang.
He desecrated his remains, ensuring he would never awaken, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's almost too bad because I'd like to see that.
It would.
Who's this person that
Right?
Abaddon even finds as a threat, right?
Right? No, I thought it would have been awesome even if he had failed in this crusade and Gerstal had come back at the Cicatrix Maledictum. Like he couldn't give up. Like he awoke. I don't know. It was just so good. It was just,
You're so excited.
yeah. I love
Maybe.
this.
He found his
some
soul
thigh grabbing
in
there.
the warp, and he was like, he is so powerful, he can't ever come back to life. And he was
Very
like, I have to
possible.
take
You know what?
And it was
Even-
all to destroy. Wait, this whole crusade was just to destroy this guy?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
The
Yeah.
entire crusade
crazy.
was so he could make sure that Gerstal never came back alive.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Because and so
Based on a prophecy.
yeah.
Yeah, that's very Terminator.
I like how you did it with air quotes. Prophecy.
Oh, it's like is
Was he
does
just talking before he
Does
died?
Abaddon like believe in like someone else controlling fate and destiny, or
Believes
He
enough
does,
to launch
he
a
does,
Black
actually.
Crusade.
yeah, but like
Yeah.
but he's all constantly fighting against that.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of
maybe
cool.
it's also just kind of middle finger, like, hey,
Here's what I can do.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I love this crusade. Like, is a very
Yeah.
good
He
interaction.
literally tricked a demon prince called the Prince of Princes into attacking Cadia as a distraction.
This is a distraction demon.
Yeah, just a little distraction so that he could go desecrate
Pocket
the
sand.
shrine world. So,
It's
yeah.
so good.
Which is a good move on his part, because then it's like he doesn't waste any resources himself. Like demons, whatever, who cares?
Yeah, and they probably got a kick out of it too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
let's go murder and pillage that planet.
Perfect.
Crazy.
The fourth Black Crusade.
Do you want to take this one, Christian?
Sure.
The devastation of Elfanor, the death of the Crowmark.
192 years.
Nope.
1,092 years.
Close
Right?
though.
Sorry, I was trying to. threaten
After,
him.
Abaddon would reappear at the head of the Black Legion to fight his fourth Black Crusade in 001 M34. Pushing a portion of his force past Cadia and ignoring other potentially easier targets, Abaddon found his way to Elfanor, where the citadel of Crowmark, what'd you say, Eric? Crowmark?
Crowmark.
Resided.
Or Chromoc? Whatever. Whatever.
Whatever. This citadel had long been an important part of the Imperium's defense of the Cadian Gate and the surrounding area.
Yes.
With only 10% of his forces actually making it to the planet, Abaddon himself led the charge against the fortress walls, and it was his sword, Drechnian, that sundered the gates of the citadel.
Yeah, apparently a single blow, like completely destroyed like this field
Yeah.
that was protecting the entire citadel.
Yeah.
And destroyed the gates.
The one cool thing about Drachnian is it's not actually a sword. It's whatever the wielder wants it to be.
Could be a spear, could be a mace.
Abaddon wants it to be a sword, but in this moment, I could just imagine it just morphing for the briefest moment into like this giant hammer. What? A giant dildo. Why are you whispering it? Are you a child and you don't want to say the word
Not
dildo?
the 69th
Yeah, he's
episode,
embarrassed.
Mark.
Yeah.
Mark.
Did you know that
It could be. And it rammed the gate down.
He pushed the dildo.
That's Abaddon's true desire.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just imagine it just like morphing just for that 1 second and just smashes this like 100-foot tall gate down.
I
like,
picture it turning into Grond.
a dildo. Oh, Grond.
No, like
Grond.
Hammer of the
like, yeah,
underworld.
like
Yeah.
at the moment of impact, there's just Drachnian's face like becomes there, and he's like,
Grond.
yeah, exactly. Drachnian. But like that bursting through the gates,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's something. It's not just a sword.
Yeah.
There's a being behind
Yeah.
it, right? So
Crazy.
be scared. That's all.
The citadel was breached, and the line of Cromark was broken. With the ancient monolith, the citadel protected was destroyed.
Yeah, so that what seemed to be his main objective here was to destroy a monolith, which is really just an ancient relic.
We have no idea.
No idea.
Unlike the Eldritch Needles, we don't.
Yeah. It's the exact same thing. Like, it's just a relic. It's an artifact that Abaddon was targeting. Mm-hmm. But anyways, so he destroys this citadel. He destroys the monolith, but he also breaks the line of Cromark, which had stood for a very long time against the forces of chaos.
Yeah.
And you got to remember, at this point, we're in M34.
Yeah.
So the Eye of Terror has been open for 4,000 years.
Yeah.
Right? Demons constantly trying to force their way out.
Yeah,
so
because
that's a long
too,
time for humans to fight.
Yeah. Because that's the other thing. Like, these Black Crusades, there's always ships coming in and out of the Eye of Terror.
Always being a part of the long war.
Yeah,
but they're not crusade worthy.
Yeah, exactly.
Either battle fleets or raids or...
Yeah. So, they would have been defending.
So the time Abaddon spent on the planet after he gave it to his chaos forces proved... So he destroys the monolith, and then he gives the planet over to his followers, and he's like, go do your chaos things. Yes, chaos. And it proved to be his undoing, because it allowed the Imperial forces to rally and actually scour the surface of the planet. So the armies of chaos were chased back to the Eye of Terror, signaling the end of the Fourth Black Crusade, another great victory for the Imperium.
Medals all around.
Absolutely, yes. Great job on defending Elfinor.
Promotions all around.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Phil. You're now Admiral.
He's gone from guardsman to
by the
Major
time,
General.
yeah, by the time Fourth Black Crusade comes around, he's an Admiral.
Yeah.
He's a true champion.
He's also been alive for a long time just as a human.
Yeah, he just goes into cryo.
No, it's the name that's passed on.
The name Phil.
Because the first one was such a hero.
I am Phil. Phil. So, though the Imperium had successfully purged the planet of its warp infestations, Abaddon's objectives had been achieved. So currently, this man is 4 for 4 on successful Black Crusades.
Yeah, so for all you Abaddon, how do you say it? Abaddon haters. He didn't fail yet. He's still good.
No, I don't know. The more
I watched his propaganda videos.
It was really
he wins
good
every time.
Yeah. No,
it's similar to the North Korean stuff, but a little more. Yeah.
But instead of how much America is terrible, it's how much the Imperium is terrible.
Yeah. Death to the Imperium.
Can't allow the Black Legions to create nuclear weapons.
Yeah, that's the one thing they couldn't do.
They can't have. They can have demons. And they can have
demon
god
engines.
powers, but
they don't have nukes.
They don't have nukes.
The as we researched this more, I was more and more only impressed by what Abaddon had done. Personally, I think Abaddon is one of the better characters in 40K, like one of the best written characters, one of the best placed characters, one of the most real characters in the whole thing. So the learning about all this stuff really kind of just solidified him for me as like one of the top characters in the entire
As a man that I'm going to start modeling my life after.
Yeah.
I told you, everyone has something to learn from Abaddon.
I learned how to... Well, see, when I was a young boy...
Wait, that was Abaddon that was talking to you. Abaddon was your father.
That's right. So let's get into the Fifth Black Crusade, also known as the Tide of Blood, or the Scouring of Elysia. Mm-hmm. So 2,722 years later, in 723 M36, Abaddon would assault the Elysia sector. And this crusade involved engagements on a dozen worlds within the sector, purposefully creating many different battlefronts for the Imperium to defend against. So this was specifically trying to stretch the Imperium's defenses thin. So they're my guess is they're just distracted by what he's actually trying to do. Yeah, like it's too hard to say like what's his main objective when
he's attacking on 9 different fronts.
It's
9,000 different fronts.
So Abaddon's main host fell upon the planet of Taranth, where he would begin a blood-soaked ritual upon its inhabitants. The citizens of Kasser Lutien, which was a city on Taranth, were systematically rounded up and ritually sacrificed, enough creating canals of blood running through the streets, forming a lake of blood and gore, it's described, within the city. So it's also his priests
crazy.
had to kill so many that there were piles of dull knives next to them. These priests. So they're killing so many people that their knives can't cut through throats anymore. So this is a bad place to be.
It also probably smells rancid.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine.
And then there's a crusty layer on top of the lake of coagulated blood.
Oh, it's just gore, right? It's not like it can't flow anymore, right? Yeah. So
Children skipping bones across.
Waiting their turn to be sacrificed because it's taken a long time.
Yeah,
to work
no,
their way through the
people are-
planet.
It's a big line.
People are even having kids. The kids grow up before it's their turn to be sacrificed.
So this ritual broke the barrier between our reality and the next, and Doombreed, who is the greatest of all of Khorne's demon princes, was summoned, howling from the Imperium, because Abaddon had made a pact with Doombreed and promised him the skulls of 1,000 space marines in return for his service. And at Doombreed's arrival, countless bloodletters began to rise from the lakes and rivers of blood in Kasser Lutien, ready for battle. So
You can just imagine like the blood starting to like bubble and pop.
yes, it just
And then every now-
boiling, and
yeah,
then
yeah.
out of one of those big bubbles just pops up a blood letter.
Yeah.
Until it's just roiling, boiling blood, and there's just blood letters pouring. Like I love. It's really dark and grim. It's really dark and grim, but it's perfect. It's so cinematic.
Yeah.
Right? Like you could be more grim and more dark than this, but it's very cinematic to me.
They were even there's even references in 40K to our time of like where there's like genocide, and they were like, this demon was born like during like the Frankish genocide, or they'll talk about real events in our time.
Yeah.
Where like these were, and they're existing still in the 41st millennium. It's
I
crazy.
agree. Yeah, like
crazy,
Doombreed is supposedly like supposed to be like Genghis Khan.
M1 or
Yeah.
M2,
Yeah.
he was
Genghis
around.
Khan, really?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Genghis Khan killed a lot of people.
And he had a lot of
people.
But he also fucked a lot of people.
He's balancing the scales.
Yeah, he loved and he killed. It's fine.
Yeah. So Doombreed is a very ancient demon and very well-known demon too. But yeah, the most powerful of all Khorne's demon princes,
But
right?
Mulan shut him up, so until he turned into a demon, right?
Those are the Huns.
Yeah. It was Attila.
It was Attila the Hun.
I'm thinking, Disney. Yeah, they got that wrong.
They got you.
They got to remake that movie so we can watch it again. You know,
They got it. Yeah,
that
yeah.
because
That's
we're clearly rusty on the facts.
you're right.
And it should be the
Cannot
most
argue with that.
sponsored propaganda of the Chinese government.
Probably should be. Probably.
So the Black Crusade of Doombreed had begun. So this is actually called like Doombreed's Black Crusade.
Yeah.
Like he has his own Black Crusade within this one. And he ravaged the Elysian sector, including 2 full chapters of Space Marines, the Venerators and the Warhawks. They were destroyed completely, their gene seeds lost forever.
Their skulls taken by Doombreed.
So he was promised 1,000, he got 2,000.
What a lucky boy.
Yeah, that's good for him. So his rampage was ultimately stopped on the planet of Palavor, where a battle barge of blood angels sacrificed themselves and their souls in order to imprison the demon prince upon the planet into like a statue
Yeah.
of Sanguinius, actually.
Oh, really? Did you find more information
I
about
did,
that?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
He is in the statue.
He's imprisoned in a statue of Sanguinius. And it's like the most lifelike statue you've ever seen of Sanguinius.
Like you'll walk by and the eyes will
Like,
follow you.
if you didn't know any better, you'd think Sanguinius was alive
Isn't he?
when you see that.
But we do know better, and he's
We
dead.
do. We do. Well, he's alive in here. Sanguinius lives in us.
Right next to Dorn.
Damn. Got me good on that one.
So, his rampage was stopped.
Yeah, while the Imperium struggled to deal with Doombreed's armies, Abaddon led his host to many shrines and sacred sites within the Elysia sector. Almost uncontested, they were able to find and either gather or destroy many artifacts we don't know what they are.
No.
That seemed to
Don't click on the hyperlink.
That seemed to hold warp energies at bay. And even halt psychic mutations.
Yeah.
So he's going after very specific artifacts and relics, and if he can take them with him, he is. If he can't, he's just destroying them.
Yeah.
A lot of iconoclasm going on right now. Defiling sacred temples, pulling down images of the false emperor and god and everything.
Yeah.
So just normal chaos stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was considered a major victory for Chaos, even by the Imperium, with the Imperium losing on every battlefront except for the imprisonment of Doombreed.
Yeah, the one thing
Yeah.
that happened well for the Imperium in this was imprisoning Doombreed.
Yeah.
Promotions? No promotions?
No promotions. No.
No.
Well, they're all dead.
Phil, no.
Just shrines. More shrines.
That's good. Oh, so it is a win then.
Now
Now they have
Still
all
a
these
win.
shrine
More
worlds.
shrines. They
Yeah.
replace the shrines they lost.
Well, and with all
More
the
saints.
the people that died in this, they cleared them out so they could just be pure shrine worlds.
Ah, perfect.
You know?
Yes. Yeah.
What happened?
No wasted
You don't have.
space.
Yeah, you
No
don't have to
wasted
buy
space.
off the people off the property
Or kill them yourself.
Yeah.
What happened to the Lake of Blood?
It's still there to this day. Children frolic in it.
No, yeah, who knows? Maybe like when the blood ran out was when the last bloodletter showed up. Who knows? But I mean,
It's
it's
kind of a cool image.
yeah. But when was this? M34? It's been or M36? It's been 4,000 years at least. Like it's probably gone, Christian. You can't go visit the Lake of Blood. Honey, we're going on a vacation.
Oh, you're finally taking me to Cancun?
Nope. Get ready for Taranth and Cassier Luton, the most desecrated planet in the Elysia sector.
No, you just tell her it's Elysia sector and it sounds good.
Ooh.
And then when you show up, it's a Lake of Blood.
With a couple blood letters hopping around.
All right, so the 6th Black Crusade.
Drakarth's Folly.
Okay. Taking place in 901 M36, 188 years after his extremely successful scourging of Elysia.
Which it was a very...
We cannot
it
emphasize
was
that enough.
very successful.
Very successful, yeah.
Yeah.
Scourging of Elysia, Abaddon called another Black Crusade. He targeted this time the forge world of Arkwreath. Yeah, Arkwreath. The assault was so successful that the defenders were destroyed, and the ziggurats they used no longer functioned as sophisticated flux cages.
Flux cages, which for some reason seem to either like hold the warp back. I don't know how it works. It just that just seems like a throwaway line.
Yeah, definitely just
Also, the
no
use,
further information.
No.
use of the term ziggurat is
Oh.
oddly specific.
No, what? That just means any
just
kind
a
of
cool
period.
word.
That just means any shape with a point. Come on, floating thing with a point. Very. We don't know what they are.
Feeling threatened by...
Should we say previous, not precious?
Yes.
Okay.
No. By a precious acquaintance. Abaddon invited the war leader Drakarth to the sightless. Drakarth the sightless.
You doing okay there, bud?
He's on
Join
his
him.
stroke.
On
Say it too close to me. My Mark virus is
It's
spreading.
the pariah.
Yeah.
It's your.
It's your genes.
The gene is spreading. To join him on this crusade. Drakarth was a former captain of the Sons of Horus, but had left to form his own Sons of the Eye after the heresy. During the crusade, Abaddon impaled Drakarth on his talon of Horus after the destruction of the Forge world.
Yep.
So this interaction felt really weird to me, actually. So he's been War Master for 6,000 years at this point.
Yeah.
He's been the undisputed War Master for
Almost
6,000.
even like 7,000.
Yeah,
This
like-
happened 901. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a long time,
Yeah.
right? He's had very successful crusades into real space, destroyed many Imperium bastions, killed countless lives, summoned Doombreed. Like he's not small potatoes even at this point. Like he's the champion of chaos. And so for him to feel threatened by this one random guy, it didn't feel right to me.
Yeah. And then not only did he feel threatened, he also brought him along on this crusade, waited for him to
perfect
win.
moment.
No, he waited for him to win. And then he struck at the perfect
at the perfect moment.
Yeah.
Why didn't he just kill him? Right? Like
Yeah, exactly.
there's-
Why did he drag him along, and then after he won this victory, then he killed him?
Then he kills him. He, in fact, not only does he that, but he kills him in front of all of Drakkarth's warband, the Sons of the Eye, and forces them to watch him kill this. So there's, we kind of threw around a couple ideas, like, was this a ritual killing? Was it a ritual violence that he was trying to do? Had he made a pact with some warp power that it was asking him to perform this in front of other people? But we kind of thought, like, we'd toss around the idea of why would he do this terrible, terrible thing?
Why would you do this?
To who was an old friend? Because this guy was in the Sons of Horus with Abaddon. He crusaded with Abaddon. He also abandoned the Imperium. Like, why would he do this? And honestly, my favorite personal reason why he did this is because Abaddon is a little insane. There's a little bit of insanity in him, and the paranoia of like Drakkarth. He's like, he felt threatened by him, but it was he shouldn't have. There was no need to feel threatened, but paranoia isn't supposed to be rational. Right? It's not supposed to have basis of real, or else it's not called paranoia. Then it's just called truth, right? Like he's projecting this idea of what Drakkarth is and what he represents that I don't think Drakkarth really was. It's never been mentioned before. So I like to think that this is it's like a spark. It's an insight into a little bit of Abaddon's insanity that he felt the need to go to this length to kill this guy.
So counterpoint then. Are there other examples of Abaddon doing things like this?
Crazy things? There's one more.
Yeah, there is some, for sure.
Maybe the image of this, because he tried to like separate himself from the Sons of Horus were like a destroyed chapter, and he was like the new vision was like this new legion of all these Chaos warbands under one banner, and maybe the old image of Horus he wanted to eradicate because he's like the new Horus guy. So you could kind of see that maybe. Also, why was he called the Sightless with that show?
I don't think they ever say.
I don't remember seeing.
Maybe he just walked into his Talon and he wasn't watching where he was going.
And he earned that straight through his eyes.
And he earned that moniker after his I don't know about that necessarily. It could also be like I'm open to the idea of someone being a legitimate threat to Abaddon's power. Who's to say, right? Like another chosen one.
Like it could literally be like, so Abaddon has been successful, but it has been 6,000 years.
Yeah.
So people could be getting impatient.
It could
New
be the
blood
whole,
could be
it's
rising.
time for someone different to take over.
Yeah.
We also like thought that potentially that could have been another one that there could be countless people constantly trying to contest for the title.
And that seems like in nature of chaos, right? To always watch your back because someone behind you could be.
And this one, finally was a cracking point. Like, he's fought off like 18 assassinations at this point and hasn't said anything. And now, like, this guy's trying to...
Maybe he's setting an example.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like,
very possible.
So,
I really liked the insanity. Like, it's just my own headcanon at this point of why did he do this. I'm just sticking with insane.
Okay.
You stick with a lot of non-canonical things that should not be.
Says Mark. Primaris aren't real.
I've never said that.
Not in your.
They keep me up at night. They are very
many
real.
times.
They're real to me. The monster under my bed.
Primaris Marine can't hurt you, says your therapist. That's right, Mark. She can't see me. Anyways.
So with this done, Abaddon leaves Imperial space and goes back to the Eye.
So success. He destroyed the flux cages. And killed Drakkarth. 2 birds, 1 stone.
The 7th Black Crusade, the Ghost War.
Ooh. The Ghost Cop. No, it's from a movie. Never mind.
Someone out there seen it.
That's right.
Someone will get your job.
Someone out there was like, oh yeah, what we do in the shadows. Nice. Nice.
910 years after Drakkarth's Folly, Abaddon declares his 7th Black Crusade in 811 M37. He emerged with his forces from the Warp Rift at the Cadian Gate and then immediately disappeared, spreading out across space.
Yeah, and that's... so in the following years, so many Chaos Raids were encountered that this is where it earned the name the Ghost War. because he appeared and then immediately disappeared and then just fights this guerrilla conflict. So the Imperium is on high defense because at any moment, anywhere, another Black Legion raid could appear.
Yeah. And they were appearing everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a very different kind of crusade
Yeah.
than Abaddon had previously fought in all his other crusades.
Yeah. At one planet named Macan, the entire Blood Angels chapter engaged a massive Black Legion warband commanded by the Despoiler himself.
Keyword the entire Blood Angels chapter.
It's pretty rare for chapters to fight in full strength like that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Even though they were supplemented by the Rampagers chapter, the Black Legion nearly destroyed the Blood Angels. Like they did pretty much destroy.
yes,
like
they
there
did.
was like a handful left. Like there's the Death Company left. There's not a lot.
Ironically enough.
yeah.
That's supposed to be killed.
The ones who are supposed to be the most suicidal.
Was Dante around at this time?
No, that's would still be way too early.
This is M37.
Right. I don't keep the timelines in my head.
Dumb.
Carry on.
So the only saving grace was the Carcharodons eventually showed up and were able to rout the Black Legion after the battle was after the battle, and it was the saving grace of the Blood
Yeah.
Angels.
And still only the Death Company. So, like, if the Carcharodon chapter hadn't shown up, even the Death Company would have been destroyed.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you should be understanding here, is that they were very lucky not to have been completely destroyed.
Yeah. But yeah, other than for this major battle, there was no crazy. It was all just minor skirmishes.
Yeah, this is just the biggest battle
Yeah.
of the entire Ghost War.
Another thing that happened there too was like the attempts made by the apothecaries to recover the brothers' gene seed was met with failure, for the Black Legion had already harvested them. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Desecration upon desecration.
Yeah, just mutilating the corpses of the Blood Angels to recover like the gene seed and then twist it. Yeah, because the next thing is with this influx of gene seed, the Black Legion numbers swell.
Yeah.
So he's creating his own Marines this entire time, but this would have been a big bump in his numbers.
Yeah.
This reminds me of my time in Mexico when my kidney was harvested without my consent.
And they made another
Christian, yes, out
With
there
your
somewhere.
My brother, sometimes I feel it.
The 8th Black Crusade, the Skull Gather.
I just love to think like somebody comes up to Abaddon. He's like, "Hey, Abaddon, what do you want to name this crusade?" The Skull Gather. Just
like he turns around.
Yeah, exactly.
The Skull Gather, and everyone's like, "Oh, okay, cool."
yeah.
Clearly, he's been thinking about this for years.
Yeah. That's why it takes so long to launch a new one.
He's got to find the right name.
Yeah.
Perfect name.
Yeah. He named Drakarth's Folly before he killed.
And that's why he's a
Drakar.
sightless, because he didn't see it coming.
That's not bad.
Canon.
In the year of Chinch, 999 M37, the year of our Lord,
That's right.
Abaddon decided it was time to gain a god's favor and launched his next Black Crusade, dubbed the Skull Gather. Across the Segmentum Obscurus, planets were raided in seemingly no discernible order or pattern and ravaged to levels either too little or too much. Too little.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's
I
described.
feel I was not ravaged enough.
It's described that
Ravage me more, Daddy.
Oh, no. It said the Inquisition would arrive at a planet and they were unable to understand why it wasn't more scoured and razed to the ground, because like the Black Legion is known for just the level of destruction that it brings behind them. But when someone's like, "Oh, the Black Legion was here," and then only one thing has been burned to the ground, or only
even,
one
like,
person has been murdered.
You see the landing zone, and it's like literally like 1,000 footprints. Walk out and then turn around and walk back into the ship.
Absolutely,
Like, just-
it's
They trampled
very
my
real.
crops.
No,
exactly.
But
Yeah.
here's the thing:
Yeah.
that is a very real thing that would have happened in this.
Yeah.
It's pure confusion. You don't understand a single, like, maybe they plant a fucking flower.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Like, it's pure confusion.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
So-
ran a charity organization to help the cripples.
Abaddon's bikes for homeless youth.
I mean, obviously they're not planting flowers, but there was.
But the organization of the bikes is a thing.
Yeah, that definitely happens. Yeah.
Is this in your notes here? It says Imperial scholars go crazy trying to divine the reasoning. Is that literal? Like,
Yes.
did they say?
Yes,
Because I mean,
they
in
go
40K, it
insane.
could very well be literal.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
yeah, so this creates mass confusion among the Imperium. Imperial scholars, when they're trying to put these patterns together, there's something that happens to them that causes their brains to snap.
I like to imagine Charlie in Always Sunny.
Yeah.
With
the Dark Angel board. He's,
Yeah.
yeah, the meme.
Yeah.
who is Pepe Sylvia? Anyways, inquisitorial agents would show up throughout the sector only to discover the ritualistic killings and sacrifices left in the wake of the Black Legion. On the moons of Tychus, 8 of their crater cities were cracked open to the harsh cold of the void, freezing their inhabitants. While the Imperium could discern no special meaning to the specific violence, Abaddon's plans went forward. All across the segmentum, bodies, blood, and sacrifices were arrayed in complex mathematical equations and profane perfections in order to please Chinch. At the culmination of this seemingly senseless slaughter, the 9th crater city on the moons of Tychus was exposed, and the ritual complete. Chinch was appeased and his favor gained.
So this was like a ritual across an entire sector. Every planet needed to be in the right place in space, and the right amount of violence needed to be done on the planet. The bodies arrayed in the correct fashion.
Yeah.
The right amount of blood spilled on the ground. Like the weather patterns needed to be correct. Like it.
Yeah.
Like the level of precision needed for this.
Yeah.
Like that's why Tzeentch is appeased and pleased.
Even down to like the numerology of it. So like they launched this in 999. 9 is being Chinch's like preferred number.
Cracking open 9 cities.
Yeah,
8
they
cities
cracked.
and then
Yeah,
another
the
one.
ninth city is the culmination of it, like the apex of the ritual.
You would have thought they would see that coming after the 8th city.
Well, no, like they. Well, how does the Imperium know that the number of Tzeentch is 9?
Yeah, they don't know that.
Or them trying to divine it, they can't. They just
Because they go
insane.
crazy.
And,
yeah.
and then they do realize it is 9 and then they go crazy. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Like they can't even share that knowledge.
Yeah.
By the time the Imperium had grasped an understanding of this complex pattern, Abaddon and his crusade had already completed their goals.
It's insane. This is very chaos. This crusade. Like
Yeah,
it's only
literally chaos.
its only
But
purpose is to gain favor of a chaos god. Like
Well, I say it's chaos, very chaos.
all right. Every other chaos or every other crusade seems to have a goal and an objective that plays into something larger than itself. But this one is very much just, all right, let's appease Tzeentch. Let's get him.
Yeah. You guys were throwing around the word.
What's
Get out of here, Tim. What's that? You guys throw around the word chaos, but like I know it feels chaotic, but it is precision.
Yes, it is
yeah.
extremely
It's precise
precise.
chaos.
Yes.
And there's way more, I think, of that precision than people think about too, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Very ritualistic.
people really think they're like, oh, okay, yeah, everyone's like demon possessed and everything, but there's still like so much strategy and like order, even. You
Yeah,
would almost
yeah.
say,
Rational
or-
minds.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
There
Black
is
Legion
order
aren't
to the
just
chaos
running into
even, yeah.
gun lines. They're actually using tactics and stuff.
I don't know,
Yeah.
man. I watched the
Well,
Space
tell that to
Marine movie.
berserkers. Ultramarines.
Yeah. That's how they fight. I've seen it. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes.
Take it back.
I seen it.
I seen it.
So yeah, they were getting Tzeentch on their side. I guess that was his.
Is there a one crusade each dedicated to a god? That would
No.
be kind of cool.
We
That's a
didn't
missed
see anything
opportunity.
that was dedicated for Slaanesh because you
They don't want
had
to talk
the
about
Skullgath.
it. You know what they did, but they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, because you have Khorne, you have
Khorne's
Tzeentch.
should be the
Even the plague
Doombreed.
one.
Doombreed's Black Crusade should be the Khorne
Yeah.
appeasement.
And then
Yeah.
the Corona one with the plague could be.
It
Wait,
could
no,
be,
was
but
there a play? Oh yeah,
it is
yeah.
a mutagenic plague.
Yeah.
But most likely Nurgle's is actually the 12th Crusade.
No, it's the 13th.
Is it the 13th?
Yeah, it's the 13th.
Okay.
What are all the chaos numbers? Each god?
It's 6, 7, 8, 9, isn't it?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Nurgle is 7, Slaanesh is 6.
Yeah.
Missed
eight.
opportunity. They
8
could have.
is-
Yeah. There's a couple things that I would definitely change about how this is all written.
The entire thing. I would rewrite it
game?
from the beginning.
The whole game, yeah.
First of all, let's remove Abaddon.
No, we can talk a little bit about it after because there are some points and like a lot of this has been changed a couple times too, especially in recent years.
Yeah,
but,
very much.
We'll get to it eventually.
But we are in the 9th Crusade now, the Starving of Kencephalus. So in 537 M38, this is 538 years after gaining the favor of Tzeentch, Abaddon once again strode forth from the Eye of Terror. His goal this time was to cripple the Imperial Navy within the sector, making exits from the Eye safer for his fleets. So the Fortress of Concephalus was capable of repairing, building, and maintaining a vast Navy fleet. However, it was heavily defended, and Abaddon saw no reasonable way to assault it head-on. This would be foolhardy.
Yeah.
And Abaddon is not foolhardy. He's extremely brilliant. So, intending to deprive them of their most valuable resource, which would be humans, Abaddon instead attacks the hive world of Anticanus IV. The defenders of Anticanus were regiments of Imperial Guard from Cadia, Lowstack, and 2nd Hubris, as well as planetary defense forces, Adeptus Arbites, and several Space Marine chapters, including Silver Skulls, Celestial Swords, Lamenters, Ultramarines, and White Scars. So that, to me, is a pretty big defense force,
yeah.
and that was his preferred target. That should tell you that Concephalus, the shipyard, was very heavily defended.
And valuable.
Extremely valuable, because all these people are defending the humans, the manpower that would be going to work at Concephalus.
Yeah.
It's extremely
Ironic.
important. Extremely important.
Yeah.
I like the 2nd Hubris.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder what happened to the 1st Hubris.
Well, their Huber got the Folly of that.
Huber's Folly.
To overcome such a large defense force, Abaddon had promised spoils to the forces of chaos that joined him. His allies for this crusade were the World Eaters, the Word Bearers, the Purge, the Apostles of Minthras, and countless demonic legions. So this is, like, there's only one or two other crusades where other chaotic forces would join Abaddon.
Like actively join.
That like create like, yes, I will be your ally in this crusade.
Yeah, and not just like, oh, Abaddon's going on a crusade, I guess we'll go out there
Yeah,
too.
I'll just go and
Yeah.
get some killing in while he's doing his killing. Right? Like, this is one of the first times that it's such a large alliance between them. So
Yeah.
he's really becoming like the commander of chaos in this one. Later called the Anticanus Massacre, the Hive world would lose millions of lives through orbital bombardments, demonic incursions, and slave roundups, where the lines were kilometers long to load slaves onto landers.
Perfect.
Yeah. Another loss was the entire Celestial Sword chapter and their gene seed, as well as very heavy losses to the Lamenters chapter.
Of course.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not even in this fight, and they just take casualties.
It's living up to their name.
With the human supply train to Concephalus cut off, the shipyard grinded to a halt, and now the Imperial fleet had been severely weakened. Abaddon was able to send out several Chaos fleets that disappeared into Imperial space. This is one of, like, those little things that they add are one of my favorite things. Like,
What could this fleet be doing?
yeah, like the Ghost War. Like, there's no way all of his forces from the Ghost War got back to the Eye of Terror. Some are still out there. Maybe they're doing secret objectives, like
Like those
traveling
are-
across the galaxy, searching for,
Artifacts
eldritch
or-
needles.
Yeah, those are just
Monoliths.
the key spots to, like, when you're writing a Chaos Warband. Like, that's where you insert yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's cool just to think like these Chaos Warbands doing guerrilla warfare, and you think you're safe on this planet so far from the Eye of Terror, and all of a sudden on your doorstep, severed goat heads, and you're like, I didn't do that.
But it was you
Well, yeah, of course it was
last
me.
night.
Yes.
Like, you're
at your
sleepwalking
house.
because chaos is coming, so chaos is trying to invade the planet. Yeah. So it would take 17 years for the Imperial forces to fully cleanse the hive world of Anticanus IV.
Yeah.
But it just became effectively like a demon, like a chaos world at that point, because
Yeah.
there was so much on there.
Yeah, and nothing was left of the planet. It was razed to the ground. Like,
Well, it
they
was
got
it was a hive world.
Yeah, they got it
huge.
back, but there's
Nothing left.
yeah.
Should have just exterminatus.
Well, you can say that in hindsight after everyone was already dead.
And that's a lot.
That's right.
That's a lot of wasted corpse starch, though.
I'm part of the Adeptus Hindsightus.
Like they go back and make recommendations for things that already happened.
That's exactly what I do.
You just sit in a room and do face palms all day.
Why didn't you guys just shoot the important things? Come on.
Somebody should have just killed Abaddon on the First Crusade.
Yeah.
Why
God
wasn't that
damn it,
not done?
Sigismund.
Phil, we gave you one job.
You were supposed to go get the sword instead of Abaddon.
Oh, Phil.
The 10th Black Crusade. The conflict of Helicia.
Helica.
Oh, it's a K, not a C.
I don't know. I would say it as a K.
I don't care
Helica.
what you would say it as. It's how I'm reading it.
Well, there's definitely not an I before the A, so it's not Helicia. It would be Helisa.
I can change that. I'll just go into the notes. It's fine.
Quick, how do I deny him access?
Helion.
The conflict of Helica. So 447 years later, in 001 M39, Abaddon... Okay, yeah, fuck this crusade.
Yeah.
Abaddon, Perturabo, and the Iron Warriors set their sights on the Iron Hand's homeworld of Medusa. In a completely ridiculous and not understood move, Abaddon decided to waste precious marines to help the Iron Warriors settle a grudge that never fucking existed.
What?
Using his forces, Abaddon using his forces to tie up other Imperial armies in the surrounding systems, it gave free rein for the Iron Warrior Legion to assault Medusa, which is where the Iron Hands, there's their homeworld.
Yeah.
In what ended up being I really don't like this crusade.
It's bad.
In what ended up being a ridiculous move, the Iron Warriors took the battle to the ground, where they burned Iron Hand's fortifications. Unfortunately, before they could settle their non-existent grudge, Abaddon and the Iron Warriors had to leave, so they didn't die from reinforcements of Iron Hands.
What did you think was going to happen? Adeptus Hindsightus. What did you think?
I don't get this crusade.
Now, this is the best part, though. Like, literally in Lexicanum, it's like, but hey, at least they learned vital information about the defenses of Medusa.
Of Medusa!
A random fucking planet that
In the middle of bumfuck nowhere. But
now
not
they know
even on the way.
defenses.
It's not even on the way to Terra. It's in the opposite direction.
but they know now.
Oh my
Even though
god.
they literally like almost wiped out the planet if reinforcements didn't arrive, like,
'Kay.
yes.
So-
We overcame their defenses, but now we know. Now we know we can do it. Vital information.
So, okay. So they're like, yeah, we're going to go crush the Iron Hands. The entire Iron Hands chapter isn't even on this planet. Because that's where the reinforcements were from. And they're like, oh no, if the entire chapter shows up, we are going to die. What the fuck did you bring? 4 Marines?
They fought in a hive world with like what 4 chapters.
Right, I told.
To be fair, that's not full chapters necessarily.
Like
it just shows a
detachments or
presence
All
of.
I'm saying is
Tactical
this.
squad.
It could be anything from 1 Marine to the full.
But
chapter.
so even in that last one you're talking about, there was the Celestial Sword chapter that
They
was,
were all present,
So even
obviously.
that's 1,000. Like,
Sure.
But yes,
Minimum.
yeah.
What was
And
this
this-
grudge that never existed?
Well, so let me tell you about the job site massacre where the Iron Hands went to along with fellow legions.
Okay.
Went to go confront Horus, and then they were betrayed. So
they should be the ones with the grudge.
Oh shit!
Wait a minute.
Wait
Are
a
you
minute.
telling me this doesn't even make more sense? Yeah, this.
I was gonna say it would make sense if the
I thought
grudge.
the Iron Warriors were like really jaded for like being. They were like siege breakers, and they got the.
But
worst
their
jobs.
grudge is against the
Imperial
Imperial
Fist.
Yeah.
Oh,
Honestly, this thing makes no sense.
yeah.
It would make more sense if it was an Imperial Fist raid, and it would make
Yeah.
more sense. Like I could see it as being like, okay, let's get the Iron Warriors on our side. Kind
think
of
it was
mission
like-
is the overall plot.
It was a branding issue. You
can't use iron in your names.
Exactly. They were like, you're too close to our brand, buddy.
Only one of us can walk out of here with iron in our names, okay? It was the Iron Hands. 'Cause the Iron Warriors had to flee.
Yeah, exactly.
Iron
They
Hands,
won.
just change your name to Iron Fist. Hey, wait!
Yeah. So this is another one of the Crusades where I'm like, is Abaddon insane? Why is he doing this?
Yeah.
What was the purpose of this?
Yeah.
It served nothing. But there is a really cool thing in this. So we know that the Cadia Gate is the most stable route out of the Eye of Terror. And so that's where everyone exits the Eye of Terror. That's why it's so heavily fortified. But if you enslave your cogitators and you torture them long enough and hard enough, cogitators being like your machine spirits, computer AI programs.
There might be a human component in them too.
There's a human component.
Yeah. That's why they're artificial intelligence, Christian.
But they're not artificial if they have
Either way, if you call them a slut and you torture them,
You torture your little slut computer, chart me a path, and your little whips and everything.
I do that just to my desktop. Play my games.
So if you torture your enslaved cogitators long enough, they will chart a safe warp course for you out of the Eye of Terror without using the Cadian Gate or the Arcs, which is another gate out of the Eye of Terror. It's just not as stable as the Cadian Gate. And it's on the wrong side of the Eye of Terror. It's in the north,
all the way around.
northeast side of the Eye of Terror. But that isn't a cool piece of information, is that you can...
But that's huge, too. That's like
Maybe
massive.
that was the vital information.
That's
they learned.
crazy.
Nope.
That would be weird.
Nope. The information Abaddon gained was specifically on Medusa.
about their defenses.
On Medusa.
Can't stress that enough.
Can't stress how much I hate this enough.
So the 11th Black Crusade.
Yes.
The Doom of Reloria.
You got to roll those R's. When it's 2
Oh, yeah.
Roll them.
Don't like that. So in the year 001 M39, we're getting up there now.
Getting close.
Abaddon tried to find another stable route out of the Eye of Terror. Oh, yeah. He bound...
I forgot about this.
It's a good one.
Zip. What are you doing, Eric?
It makes up for number 10.
Sure.
He bound a demon of Tzeentch within the vengeful spirit, hoping that it would lead him safely through the war.
Are you sure this is a good one?
In a backfire of
Filthy
galactic...
slut demon.
That's the wrong...
And then if you
Shit, that was the
torture
wrong thing.
If you put him in your ship and then you torture it, maybe he'll obey you. Maybe
So-
he won't be angry and do something crazy.
In a backfire of galactic proportions, the demon instead goes insane, as demons are bound to do. And in its death throes, so it like died, it scattered the 11th Black Crusade across the galaxy, putting Abaddon hundreds of thousands of light years off of his course.
Like, did it open a warp rift and threw all
Well, it
ships,
just like
everywhere
like
else?
it plotted the course for everyone, and it just sent everyone to a different...
Okay.
How did this go so wrong? Adeptus hindsightus.
Well, maybe next time you don't goddamn put a goddamn demon of Tzeentch in your goddamn plane. How about
And then
that?
torture it.
How about that, Abaddon? goddamn loser.
The ship mechanic is just shaking his head.
So
Yeah.
Abaddon's main forces appeared in front of the cardinal world of Reloria. Seeing a planet dedicated to the worship of a tyrant he had tried to overthrow those countless centuries ago, Abaddon and his forces descended upon the planet to pillage and raze it to the ground.
Yeah, they couldn't let it alone.
Yeah.
I know this is off course and we're way out of the middle of nowhere and I have other things to do.
That's kind of it, though. He's like, well, like we're so far off course. What are we gonna do? I guess we just do what chaos does.
What's a cardinal world
An
again?
ecclesiarch.
So it's ruled.
Yeah.
The world is ruled by the ecclesiarchy, and it's specifically dedicated to the worship of the emperor and gathering of ties, and has like crazy
Planet-sized
palaces.
church.
Yeah, you
Church
can imagine
world.
like Abaddon, like, you know.
He could see these temples from space.
Yeah, exactly. He just sees a statue of the emperor from space.
Yeah.
Fuck. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, his eyes are just going more bloodshot as he stares at it. Anyways,
Crazy.
upon planetfall, he found it was already under invasion from an orc war led by Murgor Undred-Teef. While the orcs and his demonic forces were fighting, Abaddon took the opportunity to conduct experiments on orc specimens of a psychic nature. So this is something we actually haven't dove into before, is the psychic nature of the Wog and Weird Boys.
Yeah, our next orc episodes we're gonna do it.
So what you do need to understand is just this is weird. Because if you dove into the weird boys and like their psychic energy, you would understand that this is a weird thing.
Yeah.
So one such experiment was using the war powers to fuse the material and immaterial, so reality and the warp, together. The outcome of this destabilized the fabric of reality across the Relorian system. Abaddon somehow was able to find a way to use orc war energy, like
Why are you
weird
saying
boys
like
use
that?
it.
Why-
And
We get a lot of emails. Hey, did you know that WOG actually is pronounced war and it's a war?
Your confidence
Yeah.
is just shook.
well, because my
trying to
eyes
appease
want to
people.
say wog, but my brain knows
Say
it's
both.
war, so
Say
I
wog
just
slash
I just
war.
word vomit.
Yeah.
Anyways, Abaddon is somehow able to tap into war energy, WOG energy, combine it with his own sorcerer lords, and use that in a ritual psychic ability to destabilize reality.
That or it just backfired and caused a huge explosion.
Yeah.
That's what the stable.
And then he takes
Maybe.
credit for it. I meant to do that.
Yeah, that was
the
me.
That was the whole purpose of it. Not at all did that just.
It exploded in my face, just like the demon I put in the ship.
Yeah, no, we were meant
I meant
come
to
here.
scatter us across the galaxy. I was actually thinking maybe that was his goal. Maybe he wanted to scatter himself across the galaxy to hit a bunch of targets, like just
This seemed like an opportunistic thing of Abaddon.
sure, maybe
Like,
not attacking this planet, but I mean,
normally he's focused.
yeah.
Extremely focused, and he achieves his objectives, and he's like, great, awesome, let's go get back. And like, he doesn't overextend himself.
Right.
He never puts himself in danger. Like, he's brilliant in his tactical acumen, right? So this obviously is just a attack of opportunity for him. He's like, it's here. Maybe he goes a little insane staring at all this worship to the Emperor, and then he's just like, fuck it, let's hook this orc up to my sorcerer and see what happens. Let's put a plug in your brain and a plug in your brain and, do the thing. So I don't know, this seemed like an opportunity thing, and to me, and much less of a, I plan this.
Yeah. I think, or it says right off the bat, he was trying to find a stable route out of the Eye of Terror. So, like, even when these ships are in the Eye of Terror, they're still fighting demons on their ship, like, constantly. Like, they still need
Yeah,
Geller
they turn
fields,
their. Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's
Maybe
still
not
like
the
Do they,
vengeful
though?
spirit.
That's my thing, though, because if they're on the sides of the demon,
Maybe
thing is,
not.
no, demons are still fighting them.
Yeah,
Like,
and
it's
there
not
are like
everyone's-
unnamed, unaligned demons
Yeah.
that will invade.
And more
you
like
just
even
animalistic
giant like warp
creatures.
entities
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
But it also could, like, the Death Guard, like, Nurgle's demons are never going to assault Death Guard ships,
But they might. But yes.
right?
sure, I'm open to them might doing it, right? Like,
But yes,
But
you're
most likely, Death Guard ships have some sort of extra protection from
Yes.
Nurgle,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
In the same way that World Eaters for Khorne and all that stuff. But Abaddon, while he is he's the champion of chaos and he has boons and favors from all of them, is not the champion of any one.
Right.
So it's very possible Tzeentch could be like, I need to strike at Abaddon to lessen his ability to work with Khorne.
Yeah.
Right? So
And there's
Abaddon's also
yeah.
more at risk than one of the other gods one of the other legions that might
might
have actually
protect.
aligned themselves.
Telamon was it the demon Telamon?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like,
He's
you know
unaligned.
what? That blood angel or that blood space marine juice didn't actually pump me up.
Yeah.
Abaddon. Yeah, you son of a
I've got a
bitch.
complaint here.
I snorted so much
And it didn't work.
Yeah.
So-
No, it's very, very possible. Like, Abaddon is also constantly fighting in the great game.
Yeah.
Like,
And there's many even unaligned like daemons who don't even, they're just byproduct of the warp. you
Yeah.
know, like
and
just
they're like
different
have
beings and
animalistic
stuff.
intelligence, such as attack
Yeah.
whatever they
Yeah.
see, just
Yeah.
hungry.
Beasts.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, he did that whole thing, destabilized the warp, the fabric of reality there, and then he left the planet and its inhabitants to the mercies of the WOG.
Perfect.
Perfect. And he went back to the Eye of Terror.
My mission is accomplished.
Yeah. So there are 2 more Crusades, but we're gonna save them for the next episode. For the 13th. They're so long.
They are very large crusades.
Yeah.
They have so much information and so much implications.
Yeah.
And we need more content, so we're gonna milk it.
What are we at right now?
We're at an hour 40.
Oh, that's an hour and 40 minutes more than I should do. People should just pay me.
Cut
So,
the episode in half.
What we are going to do is we are going to summarize the first 11 Black Crusades of Abaddon.
Yeah.
So Abaddon solidifies himself as the War Master of Chaos by acquiring Drachnian. He gains the favor of all 4 Chaos gods while still maintaining his independence from any one specific.
Super key
Yeah.
part.
He sets fire to the segmentums and systems around the Eye of Terror and claims many artifacts and destroys many holy sites and ancient relics. And all of this was part of his 10,000 year plan to bring about the end of the Imperium, completing what had begun all those millennia ago. So he is still fighting the long war.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know, to me it's such a perfect thing for him.
Yeah.
Because I think some people think it's like there was a singular purpose to one crusade, but it makes total sense that this was he was like, I have a 10,000 year plan for like my final blow or whatever, and I have to like enact the plan, and also you got to factor in the warp here, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I think that would make sense that he had a greater plan than just like
And like when we talk about the climax of it all, like ultimately people know what happened in the 13th Crusade.
Yeah.
He ripped the galaxy in half. Like,
And is presumably moving in on his main target, which would
Yeah.
theoretically be Terra.
Yeah. Like it's something Horus couldn't even do.
Yeah.
Horus could not bring this much chaos to the galaxy. He failed.
yeah. He's a real Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been kind of neat. So over the last handful of years, they've definitely retconned and added and changed a bunch of these crusades.
Especially the earlier ones.
Especially the earlier ones, yeah. Because for a while there, yeah, it was like everyone would make fun of Abaddon. Like, haha, you can't even destroy Cadia. And it's like, well,
Yeah, because people assumed that was his goal every
and he
single
was getting
time
thrown
he
back.
left.
yeah, every time he had left, he fought on Cadia and was repulsed. It's like, no, he only went there twice, was it?
3 times, I think.
I think he only landed on the planet
The first, second, and
once.
third, I think he fought the specific Cadia. I don't know. But it wasn't a lot.
Yes, exactly.
Even though Cadia is right there.
Yeah, and one of the times they attacked Cadia, it was only a distraction, and it wasn't even him.
Yeah,
it was Telemon's host.
It was Telemon, yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those things I really like that they did this, because, yeah, for a while there, it just was like Abaddon, he's useless. He's more useless than Gadskill. Like, he's just one of those characters that's supposed to be this big bad, but then he can't even take a planet.
Yeah, because they have to maintain the balance and reset every time. But
yeah. So it's been cool to see how they've actually introduced, like, the big thing is, like, every time we say the word, like, Ziggurat or Monolith, like,
There's a purpose behind all of that.
all those relics. Like,
yeah, which we will definitely go into in our next episode of this when we share about the 12th and the 13th Black Crusade.
Yeah.
So when they wrote this in the lore, like I know the last few were kind of like more purposeful and they were a part of like the greater story, but was this just like one day they were like, hey, like he did 10 crusades
they just
leading
throw a
up
number
to this,
out
and they
there.
were like,
Yeah,
and we're just gonna like he did this and that, or where they're like it was more so like that than
I think that's definitely what it would have been.
Okay.
Obviously, I don't know their intention, but like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of time in 40K where they just do throwaway lines.
Yeah.
And the first 12 Black Crusades were a throwaway line.
Yeah.
And even the 13th Black Crusade gets retconned heavily.
Yeah.
Because the 13th
Like 3 times.
was started as a campaign.
Yeah, and technically, like, the 13th back in the day never even ended. It was always the 13th Black Crusade.
Right.
That's the timeline we were living
Yeah.
in, was the 13th
Yeah,
Black.
it did end
Yeah.
one time, but then they made it continual, and then now they've brought it back to finally end it.
And now we're done, and now we're in a different era.
But yeah, like the first 12 were definitely just like these throwaway lines.
Like, he did 12 Crusades. Perfect.
yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Fill in the story from there.
Exactly,
Right, so-
yeah.
I do wish there were elements from fantasy that with like Archaon where he's collecting relics.
There definitely is, though.
Sure, but they don't name them all. Like you know, with Archaon, like he grabbed his sword and then he get his helmet and he gets like
Sure.
each like armor component has a meaning and stuff.
Sure.
I think there's a big part of that story though. He has like an affinity for those things though, like artifacts and
Sure, but
like,
then you're never told what they are. You're just told that they're important, especially those Eldritch needles,
No idea what those are.
well, they all have to do with the warp. So
ziggurats, those pyramidal structures.
Yeah.
Were they indicated a color, perhaps?
No.
No.
I think too, like he makes a point of destroying shrines a lot and anything with the image of the emperor. So
Yeah.
if you like take away, that's the thing that the Imperium holds to, is their faith in the emperor.
Yeah,
and
it's
if
the
you can
only thing that
remove as
combines.
much of that around the Eye of Terror, you can really weaken like
Faith.
their faith, right?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
One other thing that kind of perplexed me towards the beginning, it makes sense over time, but just their numbers. So I get the whole thing about like how Chaos replenishes their numbers and stuff, but the whole thing with the timeline of Chaos Marines coming from to them being in a shorter period, particularly coming out of the fight. First of all, they fight the whole Horus Heresy, which presumably is huge casualties. Then they immediately go back into the warp and start killing each other.
Yeah,
more
the Legion
casualties.
War.
And then they spring out into a crusade. And then, like,
700 years later.
not to them though.
How do you know?
Well, yeah, okay, sure. Maybe you don't know, but it's still not that long, per se.
We don't know.
At no time
Yeah,
do they
but-
indicate like an internal timeline.
I don't know.
It's definitely short.
I don't remember.
It's short enough that it feels fresh, and short
Fresh
enough
for
They
Abaddon.
they were surprised when they learned it was 700 years.
Right, exactly.
So
Like-
know
Yeah.
that at least, but what does that mean?
To me,
Who
it's just
knows?
like a GW in their numbers. But
Yeah,
like
you're always gonna
constantly
run into that.
depleting numbers that quickly and then having to replenish.
Well, who's
that
being
fast.
depleted? There's not one crusade in here where it says the Black Legion is ever depleted.
10%.
within the
10%.
eye, though.
No,
No,
They're
only
like-
10% of his forces made it. That doesn't mean 90% died. It means he left them doing other things.
Oh, okay. I read that as they were
No,
destroyed
no.
down to
It doesn't
10%,
say that.
And then I was like, well, that even makes it worse. Now, granted, I can believe all this over time. Like, it makes sense timeline-wise of, like, when you have vast distances, you can recover your forces. But if it's, like, boom, 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 like, weeks apart even.
I don't know, but like also maybe you only need like 50 Chaos Space Marine, and then you've got like a load of other like Chaos forces
I
that
think,
are like
yeah.
that like honest, and that's the same with the Imperium too. Like when you think of Crusade, you're thinking millions of Chaos Space Marines and different, but in actuality, like there's only like a handful of like guys you would call probably. Well, I'm sure there's a lot.
So
but-
there's definitely an element of the Black Legion always being mistaken for exclusively being Space Marines. Yeah, like you said, there are all kinds of forces that
they've got lots of
are joining in.
humans devoted to chaos, alien races even.
I don't know about that.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Space Marines wouldn't like working with aliens.
Yeah. I think they
even
would still
Chaos,
cling.
they still
Yeah, because if
hate
you're still
aliens,
like
too.
if you're inherently xenophobic, you're still probably going to carry that hatred over,
Yeah,
regardless, right?
they have beings.
They also
like, in the-
inherently worship the emperor and liked him at one point. So
But that's
things
not-
can change.
Sure,
They
sure.
can.
I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying like I don't
Daemons,
see any
too.
evidence
There's like
for
lots
them
of
siding with
entities.
aliens per se.
yeah.
But yeah,
Oh, like the whole thing of like what's the potential like losses for them. Not if you were to go look at all of these like the losses of the Black Crusades, I think there's only on one Black Crusade does it ever say it's heavy losses for Chaos. These were extremely successful crusades. Very successful for the Black Legion.
yeah,
Like-
but it's because they're written that way.
That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
Is they're written, and so you have to go on what they're written, and what they're written it says
They were successful.
they were successful,
Sure.
which means normally low losses, high kill count on the other side. That's what I take away anyway. So
Yeah.
like there's no need for them to recover so heavily if they don't
Sure,
lose.
and they don't have
anything.
the same restrictions as like loyalist chapters. That should also be important too. They could, in theory, have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Marines,
Yeah, they-
and then bolstered further by human troops.
There's
and
one story
assets.
of Angron leading 50,000 World Eaters, and it's
Oh yeah.
it's deep in like M36 too, so it's not like recent. So like if World Eaters can keep their numbers up and join together at 50,000,
Yeah.
6,000 years after the heresy.
Yeah.
of constant fighting.
Sure, and like I said, as we progress,
Yeah.
it makes more sense because
Yeah.
you do have that time to recover and stuff. Even for the few losses that you took, supposedly. I'm just saying.
yeah. But like
Yeah.
even like the Sons of Horus and the Black Legion during the Great Crusade, they never really take casualties, not heavy ones. They're never really doing anything. They're not. They use everyone else to do all the heavy lifting, like the Drop Site Massacre. They're not really on the battlefield doing stuff. Like they're there, but there's also 8 other legions that are doing all their work for them. You know what I mean? Like during the Siege of Terra, they're all kind of just chilling.
Yeah.
You know, like
no, in all honesty, in the Siege of Terra, because I'm just at it, I'm reading it right now. Like the actual, like siege to get into the solar system.
Yeah.
The Sons of Horus are not there.
Yeah, they let everyone else do the work.
Everyone else goes in. They like the other traitor chapter legions break themselves trying to gain entrance to them, and instead Abaddon just teleports in.
Yeah,
like it
does make sense for how they do battle too, because the Sons of Horus, their whole thing was cut off
the head of the snake. Yes,
right.
so Abaddon teleports literally to Luna,
right,
which should be impossible.
Not if you sacrifice
Not
enough.
if you sacrifice enough. That's right. No, it's
cool.
There's. However you want to rationalize it, do it in your head, but it's just the way it is.
I think we can
Don't
all
bring
agree,
your
though,
reason
that
here.
40K numbers are notoriously
Weird.
sketchy and weird and
Yes.
not.
The number thing that always
to be
frustrates
trusted.
me is
Yeah.
like ammunition for bolters.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
look at the model and you got a little clip. There's
Yeah.
no like extra ammo on them, and you're like, how do they? If all they do is fight, where are they getting all this ammunition? Like I just picture
it's
in my
being
head
run up by serfs
exactly.
behind them.
Like I just imagine like millions of men are just literally like running
Gun toadies.
ammunition to the Space Marines or serfs or whatever. Like in my head.
The purpose of Space Marines isn't for protracted battle. They're shock assault troops. So,
Okay.
Tell that to Imperial Fists.
well, yeah, but then if you're fortified,
No, it's yes, I
Yes.
agree with you, Mark.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
being sassy.
yeah, they're supposed to drop pod in, destroy everything within an hour, and then
Yeah.
that's it. So
Yeah.
it is
You
weird. I know
shouldn't need more than an hour.
Yeah, and
for
things have
Space
gone
Marines.
wrong if you are in any
Yeah.
other situation.
Sure. Yeah.
but it is weird, yeah. Especially if you if you do the math, how big a bolter shell is,
exactly.
And then, like
it's like the size
big
of a
the mag
grenade
is.
or something. Right?
yeah,
That's not entirely true either. We can get into that in a different episode.
Is it littler? Smaller?
Yeah, it's smaller.
It's much smaller.
Yeah.
Much smaller.
size of my peener about.
That's way more accurate.
We don't have relative. Can you just give us a little?
You guys ever seen a film canister? Or like old film?
It's like that, but smaller than my peener.
Yeah, it would be able to fit in there.
Round and short.
Balls and all.
That's sad. Cannot confirm. Do not want to. Yeah.
Okay.
So I do have a question though for Christian.
Me specifically.
Yeah, you specifically. Because earlier I was talking about how Abaddon is like one of my favorites. And I thought like one of the best fleshed out, one of the best written characters. And you just had a look of
Disdain.
Yeah. So do you not think he's well portrayed in the story?
So one of the biggest problems is I haven't read the book Tim's talking about, and apparently that's one that does a lot of groundwork in recovering the character. I think his characterization changes a lot because it's been a while since I read the Horus Heresy novels.
But even in those,
he
I
comes off
enjoyed
as
them.
a brutish like rage beast.
okay.
Maybe I'm misremembering.
That's not what I
I'm open to
got.
being wrong. I
Yeah.
am open to being wrong. But I think that just comes with the inconsistency of different authors, which is always
Sure.
going to be a problem.
Sure.
And then the whole, they had to go in, and I do actually like the way they went about retconning this one because he did turn into, I don't want to use the word wharf effect, but it's almost that, right? Where, we had to make a big bad, but we also couldn't change the settings, so we had to beat him back and, Cobra Commander him, however you want to phrase it, right?
Sure.
So to maintain that status quo. So I get it. And I do like how they've gone back and kind of fixed it.
Solar War and him in it is probably my favorite. Like I haven't read Town of Horus, right? Because that's what you're on. But that's after Solar War.
Yeah.
Right. Because I'm reading like the Siege of Terra
Okay.
right now, and you were reading Legion Wars then, right?
Yeah, it's
like
Legion Wars.
Yeah. So like when I read him in Solar War, it was awesome. It was so great. It was so perfect. It was everything I wanted from him. Still his loyalty to Horus, but still his disgust at seeing what Horus is turning into and that conflict within him. There's Zardu Layuk. He's one of the possessed guys, right?
Yeah, it's Galvo back.
Galvor back, yeah. He follows Abaddon around constantly, and the interaction between them, like you get the disgust that Abaddon feels for Zydulark and his like blade slaves, and how he's like holding back, like on a razor's edge, his temper. What? Because to say he doesn't, like, I will never say he doesn't have a temper. He is brutish and he is savage, but when he needs to be, he's not. Right?
He's not just always frothing
yes,
at the
exactly.
mouth.
Yeah. He has that beast within him that he's able to let
Control.
go, but he also is able to control it and hold it back. And I love that about him. Is he's such a good representative of chaos, in my opinion.
And like he even, I think, matured since then. Like he goes on this long pilgrimage in the eye, and he's like, he even says like he wanted to learn as much about the realm, their new realm they're living in order to like master it.
Yeah.
So like he spent hundreds of years or whatever, however long it takes to like, you know, traverse in the warp and just to learn about it. You know, he would be alone on like different worlds with like demons, or some worlds even are like really beautiful.
That's like a crazy scholarly aspect.
Yeah,
to him.
he's
like it's an
learning, and he's
inquisitive
just trying
aspect.
to, like,
Sure,
I
yeah.
just
know.
maybe
I'm not disputing that he's a good character.
I think
now.
you should read the newer stuff with him, and I think you would appreciate the depth of his character way more than what you got as him part of the Mournival. I think the Mournival is just boring, and all their interactions. I don't even like Loken when he's written in those early stages.
Sure.
But Loken in the Solar War is even written better. Maybe, I don't know, Guy Haley, I think he wrote that. Maybe I just really liked his
take on it.
writing,
Sure.
and how he describes
Again, I'm not disputing that he's a good character. A lot of people say how, like, what is it, the Talon of Horus book
Black
changed their
Legion,
view of the Black Legion and actually made them respectable and
good.
everything.
Makes me excited to read that.
Right. Like, I'm not disputing any of the new takes on him. I'm just saying, like,
You should
it's
do
more
it.
the inconsistencies. But again, that's not really fair to level
Because he's
up.
growing and changing.
And that's a dynamic character.
he's learning.
Yeah.
He wants to live.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but honestly, I think you should give him another shot.
I wasn't not giving him
Give him a shot, Christian. Open your heart.
Let Abaddon
Let
in.
Abaddon in. Yeah, he is not Failbadon to me ever again. I've even made that meme before, but now he's like, I'm super impressed with how he's written and like what they've done with him, and you know, I very much like him.
I'm excited to see what the 14th or his next crusade would look like. You know.
Oh man.
Like.
Yeah, coming out next year, right? 9th edition. That's confirmed on Lorehammer.
Yeah, they confirmed that yesterday.
That's right. Yeah. Well, we got the information from Spiky Bits,
Okay.
the most
Trusted.
trusted. Yeah.
And they got it from
Source.
a podcast I heard called Lorehammer.
My God.
Cool.
Well, anything else?
I just hope there's more Black Crusades.
Me too. I really like them.
I had a good time.
Well, when I was a young boy, my dad actually took me to the city.
Which city?
Atlanta.
I don't remember. Tarinth. He took me to Kasser Luton.
No.
And he was like, son, you see these lakes and rivers of blood. One day
You'll grow up.
you'll grow up. You gotta save all these. I'm like, Dad, they're blood bodies. Anyways,
You think there's an environmentalist group on that planet trying to preserve the blood lake?
well, because
It's developed its own ecosystem.
yeah, well, it's
harm
been
it.
like what 5,000
Yeah.
years. Like, of course, yeah. Why not?
If you guys could
The
like,
Adeptus Environmentalis.
if you guys could like invent your own Black Crusade, like you come up with the 14th one in your head, what would that look
Oh,
like?
jeez.
You know what I mean? Like after
Yeah,
hearing
yeah.
all these crazy shenanigans,
Yeah.
like what would you?
So
what
here's
would you do
Here's the weird thing about
if
that.
you were Abaddon?
The 13th Black Crusade is supposed to be the apex.
It was supposed to be his like big.
Like all of his other crusades were pointed at this moment where he rips the galaxy in
Has
half.
this crusade ended?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that for sure?
Yeah, because it happened, then 200 years went by, then the Dominus Crusade happened, pushed everything back, kind of thing.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
No, like the 13th Crusade is over. But it seemed like this was the pinnacle in the apex. Honestly, I
don't know about that.
I would have to really sit down and think of what I would think his next goal would be.
It's obvious.
But I wouldn't
Terra.
want. I wouldn't want to say
Terra.
that though, because I don't want Abaddon to
never
ever
want this to
actually
end.
fight.
That's all.
Go to the
It's
Emperor.
like this happens a lot in like storytelling, as people tell an apocalyptic tale and then they have to one up it. But like this happened in Supernatural where they literally like killed
That sucked,
Satan
yeah.
or something in the first season. It's like, well, how do you top that?
Well,
And literally the
that's
only
not
thing
real. First of all, Mark. First of all, they only trap Satan at the end of like 6th season, and they don't kill him; they just trap him. So at the end of the first season, they see their. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
But yes, it happens a lot.
But I
So
know what you're
literally the
saying.
only place that they can go from here is Terra, because nothing else is going to
if
matter.
they're trying to one up them, I agree.
That's the only spot.
And they are notorious for doing that. Because even like we look at this, like there were a couple of these that had like death tolls in the millions.
Yeah.
And then you look at like
Those
the
are
12th
rookie numbers.
You look at the 12th Crusade and it says what, billions?
Yeah.
And the 13th is trillions.
Yeah.
Every
so is the next
crusade
one
should be.
quadrillions?
Yeah.
Like
Should
that, and that's a little frustrating.
Oh yes,
to
yes,
me.
absolutely.
I would rather them go back to the days of the 1 through 7th Black Crusades.
Yeah, where it's
where
just
they were
little things.
they were small things, but he's achieving his own victories in them, and the Imperium can lie to themselves and claim victory on them. But Abaddon in the end is scheming and scheming. I love that aspect. But you're right.
No, it's cool,
You're right.
but-
They won't do it.
Yeah, it's just if they ever do a Black Crusade, it has to be aimed at Terra.
So
Nothing
in the
else will
14th
do
Black
it justice.
Crusade,
Yeah.
if he aims at Terra, would you have, if you were to write it, would you have him go to Terra and fight the Emperor then on the 14th?
Like that's the only satisfying conclusion. And even that, it's like
And that's the problem
even
with turning
that-
a setting into a story.
yeah, exactly. Because even that, okay, so it's like we know he's not going to kill the Emperor, or they do, and they just wreck the setting.
Or they bring the Emperor back and they do one of the
yeah,
whole
like
other
to me,
things.
like yeah.
There's no way to end
It would be
satisfactorily.
game changing. It would be as game changing as the 13th was.
no, yes, like so ultimately
Either the Emperor dies or he comes back at the end of that.
Yeah. But like, so while the 13th is highly impactful, like the galaxy's ripped in half, that's cool. But honestly, it doesn't really matter.
Well, it brought
Everything-
Rowboat back. If it wasn't for that,
But that's
through
not
the
Abaddon,
webway-
though. That
It's an unintended consequence.
sure.
It also cuts off half of the Imperium.
Yes, but
You're
it's still going to be
it's-
fine.
No, it's
like
still a
it,
major victory.
oh, I'm not saying it's not a major victory, but it doesn't ultimately change the setting.
it changes the setting.
I
Pretty
think it
good.
puts the
No,
power.
other than for Rabu
Cutting the
Gilliman-
galaxy in half is
No,
pretty
but-
much changing the
so
setting.
what does it honestly really change? Like I get it. It's a big thing.
in the story. It changes stuff in the story.
So
the
now-
only way to
so
change
now-
things in the setting is to give other species better rules.
No, but like no. But like okay, so now you have the Dark Imperium.
Yeah.
They're still there. They're still doing their thing. They're still surviving. Nothing has
Barely.
really changed. Barely, but they're gonna still survive for
but
all
the foothold
time.
of chaos has been strengthened throughout the whole galaxy.
Sure.
Because
They can
all of
appear
these,
anywhere.
all of
Sure.
these Black Crusades, Abaddon, while still being a threat to the Imperium, is still, he goes back to the Eye of Terror. That's all he has. All he has is his foothold in the Eye of Terror, and then he comes out and raids real space, and then the Imperium picks up the ashes and moves on. They can no longer do that. You cannot. You can't just be like, he's gone and he'll be back in like 800 years. Like, there's a constant threat of chaos now in the galaxy. And I think that's what's changed, is that the power balance has shifted. Chaos has increased their power balance by a huge
But they're
amount.
still never going to overthrow the Imperium. So ultimately, nothing has changed.
But that's
sure, they're
what
more
you
powerful.
want, though.
Yes,
You want it to be
and this is-
stalemated.
So that's
This is
what
what
Mark's
I'm
saying. That's why
saying.
he's saying
This is what I'm saying.
the 14th Crusade is going to be ridiculous.
It would have to be ridiculous.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So here's my counterpoint to that: is make the 14th Crusade an ongoing measure. That's just like an all.
They already tried doing that.
It was like that for a long time.
That's what I'm
There's
saying.
nothing wrong with it.
Well, they did, and they realized we don't like that.
But there's no Cadian Gate now. There's no one point.
Yes,
like
there
they
is.
can.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right. Like they can. It's not about this. Like, it could be this impending progress indefinitely. We just pause the story there, and you play your battles even in it within that crusade because it's huge.
Yeah.
Because people always think of wars as like one and done, but they're really a lot of small battles, right? Like, depending on the war and era and blah blah blah. But you see what I'm saying though. Is
So
like,
you're saying this is their new 40K moment,
right.
This
Exactly.
is their
this
new
is where they
time
stop.
freeze.
They have
Which,
the crusade come storming
but
out.
Maybe they freeze for 15 years, and then they realize we actually want to
Sure,
change something.
but that's their problem, right?
But I'm saying at that moment when they decide they want to change something, what do you do?
Now you could even do it all the
Because
way
that's
up.
what Mark's saying. No matter, even if they leave it for 20 years,
Sure.
25, 30 years, at some point,
That's the point of
something
a
will
setting.
change. And Mark's saying is that's ridiculous. The fact that they're going to advance it at some point.
I think though, like for let's say,
So how do you advance it, Christian? How do you? Sorry, but how do you advance it, Christian?
You could even take it all the way to Terra's doorstep. You could even do like, landing craft on the surface of Terra.
Okay.
Just like all-out battle on this one planet. That's it. That's the apex of the whole everything. And I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the story thing. I agree with the setting thing, where everything needs to be in balance.
Don't you think that anything less than assaulting Terra is not worth it? It doesn't. It wouldn't feel like another crusade.
An ongoing crusade. Yeah. That's like what battle you're fighting on. Okay, cool. That's just another battle on the way to Terra, right? Oh, what game are you playing? What enemies are you fighting? Okay, cool. That's just another battle on the way to Terra, right? Like, it doesn't have to be, And I'm open up all the way up into being, on Terra's doorstep. You turn Terra into this like ultimate battleground. You sell sets that are, massive city skyscraper. I don't care. I'm just saying.
I do think that if you do another crusade, it has to pinnacle, like it has to peak what has already happened, and I don't think you do that without going to Terra. So part of me almost hopes that there is no other crusade.
I hope there is, but I hope they just stop it. Like they pause it. They pause it indefinitely.
They won't. At this point, everyone, like they're training us to be used to them advancing story.
Training us like slaves.
Anyway, sorry, Tim. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I just think like.
Wait, hold on. I have another idea. I'm just kidding.
Holy shit.
I think the final showdown would probably be. So they want to play that out. I think Abaddon would be the ultimate incarnation, though, of like that struggle between the Emperor and Horus or whatever. You know what I mean? Like he's trying to.
So he's just gonna murder a dead body on the throne.
Well, whatever.
Epic confrontation.
They bring him back. They bring the Emperor back. Whatever. Or yeah, that too.
But you see where you're going with this, right? Like
it has to be a change.
You need to have like an almost equal power. I'm not saying he's equal to the Emperor, but if you're going to bring it to Terra and there's a showdown, it's going to be Abaddon and one of his crusades again, right? Is there any other race in 40K that's done crusades like? I know the Great Crusade was crazy, but like anything else has ever come close to what Abaddon has done.
Have you ever heard of the Necron and the purging of the galaxy?
Okay.
They murdered their own gods.
In recent.
Oh, you don't mean more than 60 million years ago?
Yeah,
it's just time is so small to Necron.
Yeah. Necron, are they going to do a crusade? No, they're just like.
They should. They all should, and they should have equal power balance across the whole game because it's freaking setting. That being said,
okay,
I forgot my other 2 points. I was going to make 2 points. But.
Perfect. That's what I like to hear.
My final thought on the whole matter.
Yeah, what is it, Marcus?
One of my favorite things that they have done, like I think like 90% of the lore that they've written in the last 5 years is garbage, but one of my favorite things that they have done is ripping the galaxy in half. I know I was kind of saying it doesn't really affect anything, but that's one of the reasons why I like it. They
because it changes the setting, but it doesn't imbalance the setting.
Exactly, it makes it cooler. Yeah. So there are things about it that I do like.
What if in the next Black Crusade it's an utter failure and the Imperium actually manages to throw all warp rifts away? Ooh. Like how? Like what is that? Like that would be ridiculous, and they would never do that. But that would be a crazy change to the setting. But Chaos can still jump out of the warp at any time they want.
Yeah. I did think of my points. One,
crazy. Thank God we're gonna get to hear these.
What if they kill?
Because this is his last episode.
Yeah.
So
well,
I gotta get all my ideas out right now.
The last time you're joining us. Yeah. So.
What if they kill Abaddon? That's my first point. Everyone forgets about the other 4. Well, no, not 4.
The Desecrated?
No, the other demon primarchs.
Oh,
if they come back. Could they overshadow Abaddon? Could Abaddon get killed in the background?
I forgot about those guys.
Right, exactly. Everyone forgets about them.
Those other really.
I'm not saying
I'm
not saying I'm in favor of this.
Yeah,
I take back my sentiment about him being the showdown between him. It would be a Primarch, I think.
Lorgar.
Lorgar would be the only one. He's undivided.
You son of a bitch.
Because he's undivided.
Why do you say things to hurt me?
No, he's undivided. Mortarion can never gain the blessing of Khorne. Mortarion can never gain the blessing of Slaanesh. Lorgar has not devoted himself to any one Chaos God and is free to seek boons from any of them in the exact same way that Abaddon has. Like, Magnus can never be the champion of Chaos because he's the champion of Tzeentch. I do think Lorgar is actually a very valid choice in that regard.
Oh, sure.
Right. What if Abaddon gets killed and then just gets, you want to upstage, you want to talk about raising the stakes? There you go. We're raising the stakes.
Lorgar is one of the most underwritten characters out there. Like I love the idea of Lorgar but he's such a little bitch.
Yeah, they intentionally make it so you hate
It's
him.
so brutal.
Him and Erebus, they intentionally write it.
But
so
he could have been such a strong character. He could have been Abaddon, and his like need to like lead someone, but it just turned into this petty whining child. He's petulant, anyways. But maybe his time in the warp is fixing him. Maybe he's healing.
Maybe he'll
from
have
his hurts.
some future rewrites that will make
Yeah.
him better retroactively.
Maybe.
Adeptus hindsighticus, or whatever you call yourself.
That's right. That's it. The administratum. Hindsight. Something, you know. Anyways, anything else anyone else wanted to chat about or share? Tim,
I had a good
how you
week
feeling?
yesterday.
Good.
No, you didn't. Don't lie.
I actually thought we were gonna do the 12th and 13th.
Did you?
Yeah.
you read up on him?
You're like, I don't know what's going
Well,
on.
no, yeah, I'm excited. When that.
So you're gonna come
goes
back
down.
next time, right?
Sure, yeah.
To do those with us.
I will. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Not you though, Christian. This
No.
was your last episode.
Yes, like Abaddon, I will
We'll just
disappear
leave
into
that
the
chair
void
empty.
forever.
We'll pour one out for him.
Once you
Yeah.
peaked, you can't raise the stakes, right? Once
That's
you
right.
have me on the podcast, there's no one.
Are you the 13th Black Crusade?
I'm the embodiment of the 13th Black Crusade. I've come to pillage and destroy.
So you were shitty for a long time, and then somebody decided to rewrite you to be good.
Yes.
Interesting.
You got
It took
retconned
3
many
rewrites though before they were finally satisfied. And even then they're like, I'm just done rewriting. I give up.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Fuck it. Put in Primaris. Anyways, thank you guys for listening. Support us on Patreon.
Yeah, please do that. It
Stay
means a lot.
tuned for our next bonus episode where we talk about the Liber Malleus and how you can be immortalized forever as a part of the Lorehammer chapter.
Yeah. It's gonna be sweet. It's
gonna
gonna
be
be
awesome.
really cool. Like,
And you should really enjoy the story. I know I really enjoyed reading through it. Anyways, thanks for coming, guys. We'll see you next episode.
see ya.
Bye.